Thank you so much for being here. This is another 3 p.m. Onionhead Andrew Saturday, how to overcome directed energy weapon attacks. And like always, we're going to start with a quick review. The review is a three-step process. The three-step process to overcoming directed energy weapons is always, the first step is always deactivating implants with an EMP stun gun. EMP stun gun, the video for it is in the YouTube Onionhead Andrew, Onionhead Andrew, Substack Onionhead Andrew, and Rumble Onionhead Andrew. There's a few videos associated with it. The best one is updated DIY EMP. You take a stun gun and you attach a coil to it and you leave a spark gap on one side of the coil. It ends up making an electromagnetic pulse that is strong enough to deactivate or ruin the circuitry of non-organic material. That's the first step. The second step is building and utilizing various wearables. The easiest of wearables to build and utilize is the electric wire. I'm holding this up to the screen right now. I call this electric wire because it produces a little bit of electricity. What it is it's two different metals wrapped around each other, working as a cathode and anode effect, and they're twisted together tightly with a drill in this case. You could do it with a pair of pliers if you took your time, secured the wire ends to like a doorknob or something like that, something on the wall, a hook, and twisted it real nice, took your time, made it tight. But I call that electric wire. You can put that electric wire in various shapes like bottles, cups, bowls, plates even, oven pot lids. What happens is that when you put it in a shape like that, the natural etheric vibrations of that container will direct the little bit of electricity that this wire produces onto your body if you face that to you. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. But you can also take like two magnets like this. I've got a magnet on either side. They're in polarity, meaning they're attracted to each other. I've got a little PVC pipe in between the two magnets to keep them separated because otherwise they'd slam together. And I've taped them to that. It's a magnetic ring, right? If I make this electrostatic predominant magnetic ring, which is to say when the fields are polarized in polarity, not reverse polarity, I'll get to that in a second. You put the wire near those magnets, and you've created a magnetic electric ring, right, that treats your blood as it's moving through your finger. To the person in the comments, no, I'll get to that in a second, later. But this is one wearable that you can build. You can also, just like I said, take this electric wire. You don't need the magnets. You can wrap it around your finger as is. That will help to some extent. Put it in cups, bowls, that type of thing. You can do a lot of different things with that electric wire if you just make it and start fiddle-faddling with it. And you can also see on the DIY playlist and through some of my older videos on Substack, they're also in a playlist. I think it's like Fundamental or something like that. You can see different applications of electric wire and different things you can do it. When you put it into a bottle, the electric wire, it produces a very low-grade burst of energy. You could call it an EMP, but it's not quite like burst enough to like really associate the same idea with it. But it does create an electric burst when you put it into a bottle. That's because the way mechanical pressures move around in a bottle. And when you add this wire to it, it makes two different resonant frequencies syncopated. And that's basically what electricity is. Electricity is magnetic and electrostatic fields, which is to say expansive and compressive fields in syncopatic reactions. They move 90 degrees off of each other. There's too much physics there just to go over quick. I can go over it though if people ask. That's the second step, and the reason we want to produce a tiny bit of electricity is because the nanomachinery that's in our body that the directed energy weapons are interfacing with are very, very vulnerable to unmitigated electricity, meaning that if the directed energy weapons that are aimed at you aren't buffering the electricity that you're providing to your body, the nanomachinery will enter a decay cycle very rapidly and fall apart. And you can detox it very rapidly after that. And that's the third step of how to overcoming directed energy weapons. It's detoxing nanomachinery, because this crap, heavy metals, it just builds up, it plaques all over your body, your skin, your feet. It literally gets into some of the cellular repair process, and it needs to be consciously dealt with at certain points. It literally plaques on your skin, your GI, it gets in your joints, your knees, you know, it gets everywhere, in your bones. And so having detox in your mind as you're moving through these things will keep you much, much more healthy. So it's those 3 steps, basically deactivating non-organic circuits or destroying non-organic circuits, destroying synthetic biology nanomachinery circuits is the second step, or attenuating directed energy weapons, which is to say dealing with a predominance of magnetic or electrostatic fields in and around your body. And remember, magnetic and electrostatic fields syncopated together is electricity, which is more or less what they're trying to do to you all the time, is create like rogue electricity along the nanomachinery conductive material in your body, piezoelectric conductive material in your body. And then the third step is detoxing all this crap that builds up in our body that shouldn't be there. So those are the 3 steps how to overcome directed energy weapons. There is another thing I like to talk about before we start. I always like to talk about this, and that's how nanomachinery gets in your body and proliferates through your body. Because I think this is the bridge that's too far for a lot of people that are survivors. They don't know enough about this aspect of it to really hear what I'm saying. So what is this nanomachinery synthetic biology? Where does it come from? It comes from the food, the air, and the water. Primarily the air, but also the corporate food supply. It's been in McDonald's since probably 1994, 96, sometime around there. It's been in the chemtrails since 1996. The last 7-8 years in the Western world, chemtrailing has gone through the roof. It's like 10,000 times what it used to be. If you want to see it for yourself, put on a pair of orange or a dark yellow lens glasses and look at the sky. It'll blow your mind. There's so much more chemtrail in the air now than there ever has been. And then, of course, in some municipal supplies, some bottled water, it's also present there. This is nanotechnology or synthetic biology nanotechnology. What synthetic biology basically means is that it was made in a lab using chimeric life forms, big ones being like E. coli, bacteria, various parasites, various types of worms, various types of insects. They take the sections of DNA out of all these things that they know how to work on, basically all the big lab animals, insects that they've been working on since the 40s, 30s, Drosophila, fruit flies being one of the biggest ones, E. coli, like I said, one of being the big ones, Salmonella being another big one. They take all these chunks of DNA and they basically make a Russian doll disease out of it, where if you ingest one of these particles that contains some of that mRNA, or it's mRNA, it's weaponized mRNA, or mRNA, modified messenger ribonucleic acids. You ingest it in a certain particle package, like say in the chemtrail. It gets into your stomach, it reaches certain conditions. Some people think that's alkaline, some people think that's acidic. It doesn't really matter. Both have been recreated in the lab. Clifford Carnicombe of carnicomeinstitute.org, if you want to look up this for yourself. And they start proliferating from your GI out. That's if you're breathing it, and then your lungs also. It gets it goes through your lung, into your blood supply, and then can deposit itself wherever. And just normally speaking, for the Joe public, the nanotechnology, synthetic biology, will deposit itself in the GI and where inflammation is the greatest. For regular people, that's heart and blood, veins, canals, and arteries. Okay, just generally speaking. For targeted people, it's where they're aiming the weapon systems at. Where they aim the directed energy weapons out, and this other type of nanomachinery called nanowalkers, which is what I'm going to cover today in the presentation. I figured out some things about them this week that's so obvious. But basically, they're nanobots. Nanowalkers are nanobots. Nanowalkers is what they call them in the industry. And they've been around for a very long time, 30 years, give or take. Publicly, 28 years. So privately, 45, 50 years probably, who knows. Military, when they got their hands on that. Either way, the nanomachinery, here's what happens. It gets into your body, right? It starts a growth process. At that point of the growth process, like it will start clumping. That clump will make a heat sink of sorts, which is to say a conductive surface in which directed energy weapons can interact with it. As that directed energy weapon interacts with the nanomachinery heavy metals clumped, it grows and grows and grows. It becomes a larger 3D web matricey lattice that will go eventually from implant to implant throughout your body. And when I say implant, it's not necessarily what you think of when you think of an implant. A lot of people think of the stuff that happens during surgery, which is definitely out there. Like if you get dentistry work done by one of these spook dentists, or you go under anesthesia at a hospital pretty much ever, they'll bring in some usually former military doctor to do this to you. Sometimes, usually a dual national former military doctor. The last guy, whatever. I'm not going to talk about me, but that's usually the case if you get those bigger implants. That's not the implant I'm talking about. I'm talking about these very, very small, somewhere in the range between micro and nano-sized objects that can literally be fired into people from a distance. When these things hit you, it feels kind of like a mosquito bite, but you can feel it hit you. So it's like the after effect feels like a mosquito bite, but while it happens, it physically feels like it hits you. They can shoot those through various material, glass, so it's got to be right around the bottom of micro, drywall, various types of wood. They can even get them through metal if they're directly touching the metal that they're trying to shoot it through. So I know that's a bit out there for people, but everyone has those types of implants in them. And what those implants are doing, implant's not the right word for it, it's something else, It should be called something else, more specific. But what they're doing is they're taking magnetic energy and converting it to electrostatic energy in your body, which makes the weapon systems incredibly automated. Once you've got those implants in you, again, implant's not the right word, it's non-organic circuitry. It's an LC circuit, a resonant LC circuit, which is a capacitance inductive circuit. Once you have those in you, then they can literally, it'll take 2 or 3 people in your community, maybe 5, 10, something like that at most, to facilitate these crimes against you. It's very easy for them to do that. If they don't have those implants functioning in you, they have to continuously balance electrostatic pulses at that point to recreate what those implants were doing. And the way they do that is by accessing the nanomachinery as before, but it becomes a much more volatile situation, meaning there needs to be much more energy sent into the nanomachinery. It needs to be much more balanced, which is infinitely harder than when the implants are working, which is why that's the step 1 in how to overcome directed energy weapons. Deactivate those implants using that stun gun EMP, especially if you live in the United States of America. There's no excuse. It costs you like $50 all said and done, usually under $50 to get that going. Most of you live in around a major city, you could literally get that done today or tomorrow and be sitting in a different understanding of how these directed energy weapons work by 24, 48 hours. But either way, the nanomachinery, it pioneers your body, it gets in your body, it creates a conductive piezoelectric surface where the directed energy weapons can access that, usually from the outside in, but really it's from the GI to the skin, right? That's this continuous 3D web matricey will be of nanomachinery synthetic biology. When that directed energy weapon interaction happens, the growth process of the nanomachinery takes off. And eventually it becomes a chain of these polymers. Nanomachinery synthetic biology forms polymers, and the polymer is like wire. It's literally from nano, micro, into where if you take a 200x microscope, you can see it depending on how long it's been growing in your body and where you pulled it out of. But you can see it. You can literally rub this bioplaque off your skin. That's what's on your skin, the bioplaque. It's this nanomachinery synthetic biology. It will go from if you're right-handed, usually from the left foot all the way top of the left head. Sometimes if you're left-handed, from the right foot all the way to the right top of the head. But it gets everywhere. They try to keep that nanomachinery polarized on whatever side you're being targeted because of the natural pressures that your body and electrical reactions your body has. Basically, they can buffer it better if they choose a side. So the nanomachinery pioneers the body, creates those long chains, and once those chains are established, usually along the lines of implants, or if implants are there, which is usually the case, because it's those small, really small ones that shouldn't be called implants. At that point, the human traffickers, the neuroweapon human traffickers, as I call them, who work for as contractors, mostly through private military corporations, who are in turn contracted through other private equity corporations, who are in turn contracted through FBI, DHS programs. If you live in the United States, if you're somewhere else in the world, you'd have to figure it out. So it's like subcontractor, 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 until you get into these neuroweapons human traffickers, who are usually, not always, usually former military connected to city, county, state government. All right, that's usually who it is. And if you're on the West Coast, those, and I don't know, I know other places it's common too, but I don't know exactly. Those former military people are outlaw bikers. Here in Vancouver, Washington, they go by, there's Banditos, Hells Angels, and what's the other, Gypsy Jokers, and there's one other big one, of Mongols, something, it doesn't matter. They're all very, very active in this neuroweapons human trafficking. But they really are working for the city, county, state governments, who are in turn working for the FBI Fusion Center stuff. The biggest participant of this trafficking, sorry I'm getting off on this, is your local government though. The city, for me, I live in the city of Vancouver. If I had to choose one institution that had the most, quote, gang stalkers, say I would more accurately citizen informants, and people that are actively engaged in neuroweapons human trafficking, it would be the city of Vancouver itself, the government of the city of Vancouver. Although Vancouver Police Department is heavily involved, these outlaw bikers are the ones on the ground. The outlaw bikers would be caught tomorrow if they didn't have all these protection, because they're dealing meth, you know, they're sex trafficking 13-year-old girls too. They're doing all this other counterfeiting bills, fentanyl, you name it, these people are doing it, and they're neuroweapons human trafficking. Now, wherever you are in the country, it's going to be a little bit different as far as the ground level, depending on which criminal organization. So it's best if you just think of them as neuroweapons human traffickers, and then throughout your experiences of dealing with these people, you can hone in on the other crimes that they're committing. And if they're outlaw bikers, it's pretty much the same everywhere, what they're involved in. And most people, it's outlaw bikers, former military, who are working with their informal contacts, basically from when they served in the local police department or sheriff, whatever it is for you, wherever you are in the country. That's usually the case, not always. Sometimes it's all fed gangs, where basically they're like subcontract. They're in corporations that are basically burn fronts for the FBI, DHS, ATF, whoever, right? Whatever, wherever they are, however they're operating, where they're like working as contractors of this corporation, and this corporation solely exists so that when they get caught, they'll just throw the corporation away and be covered, right? So anyways, Nanomachinery gets in your body this way. That's who's doing it. Once it's in your body, it becomes polarizable. It becomes your insides from the outside your skin all the way to whatever advanced outcome they're looking for. The most common being organ failure, and then patsy stuff. There's also, and then like also very nasty stuff like more traditional sex trafficking, where they will literally, this happens to many women I talk to, and it's happened to some men too, is that they'll attack them with all these neuroweapons during the day. Outlaw bikers do this, but I'm sure other groups do this too. They'll attack them with all these neuroweapons throughout the day, and they'll break into their house. By the way, they're using invisibility, cloaking, camouflaging, whatever you want to call. It's been around for 50 years. They're using that to break into people's places. They'll break in their places. They'll poison their food with GHB, scopolamine, a few other things I don't know about. And they will drug these people into a stupor, or they might even hit them with the directed energy weapons nanomachinery to get them in a stupor, and then break in and needle them. And when these people are, when survivors are passed out, they'll rape them. And they pay, there's other people that pay for access to rape, you know, survivors of neuroweapons human trafficking. So that's the type of crimes, that's the type of people you're dealing with, that's the type of advanced outcomes they're looking for. Every school shooter, sorry for the big long review, this took longer than I wanted to, but every school shooter, almost every school shooter is a neuroweapons human trafficked person. When it comes time to shoot up the school, they do basically the same thing they do when they want to rape women. They poison, drug them, kidnap them, these school shooters, bring in the NSA contractors or whoever's the quote men in black, those black flag former military operators usually as deep state as they come. They go, they shoot up the school, then they get out of, you know, harm's way, whatever, however you phrase that, and then they drop off the patsy at the scene of the crime. And that's why those patsies are always incredibly confused when they get arrested. You look at any of those body cam footage of when any of those patsies get arrested, it's all the same thing. They're all in a stupor because they're waking up from scopolamine or whatever with like some forced dream crap going on where they don't like know what's real and what's not, whatever. Been doing that for a long time. That's there we go. That's the review. Okay, so for today, the new thing I wanted to present is I've been an idiot and I'm sorry for it. There's been a lot of conversation by a lot of shills and then a lot of good meaning people too about the idea that directed energy weapons are accessing your DNA. And I know from just a theoretical standpoint, that's near impossible just because of the epigenetic changes. That's the habit-based changes from cell to cell your DNA makes. So it'd be incredibly hard to have directed energy weapons resonate with that. Like to the point where you would need a real-time update at every cell or almost every cell, every clump of cells, and what DNA they're epigenetically expressing, which again, it changes by the day, changes by the hour. I guess I haven't said that, but your DNA expression changes all the time, right? That's what your cell is more or less interacting with, is that different DNA expressing itself at different times, sending different electrical signals throughout the cell. So I've been saying forever that the directed energy weapons cannot do that, which is only partially true, which is how I've been an idiot. It's so obvious. Like I was saying earlier, nanobots are involved, okay? And I knew this forever. Nanowalkers are made out of DNA in a lab, right? So a lot of these nanobots they're using, or all of them, because of the scale of nano, that's very, very small, are made from DNA. The directed energy weapons aren't resonating with your DNA. They're resonating with those nanobots, which are made of DNA, which is so freaking obvious, all right? Which is provable to, I'm going to prove it right now. It's very easy. Well, not that the directed energy weapons are accessing them, but we're going to walk all the way up to that point of proof. I'm going to show, it's going to go beyond circumstantial. So with that being said, I'll try to get through this quick because I know we got some questions. So this is, there are two types of nanomachinery, synthetic biology nanomachinery and these nanobots, which can also have synthetic biology but it's not the chemtrail stuff like we think of. Okay, so here we go. On the screen I'm sharing right now, all I did is I put in a Brave DNA-sized nanobots. I figured this out earlier this week, and I just recreated some of the research so I could show you guys how I figured it out. DNA-sized nanobots are microscopic machines constructed from DNA strands, typically utilizing DNA origami techniques to fold into precise three-dimensional structures ranging from 100 nanometers, which is the width of a few DNA strands, to larger frameworks. Right? These things can literally become as large as be able to see with the eye. Some of the bioplaque you have on you is just from nanobots. Recent breakthroughs have demonstrated that these nanobots can exponentially self-replicate by using their own structure as a scaffold to assemble copies from raw DNA components in solution, a process controlled by temperature and UV light, which right there, controlled by temperature and UV light, right? When you're being attacked and the implants are still functioning, one of the main things that are doing to you is heating up your body with magnetic predominant directed energy weapons, and then accessing your eyes with just out of visible light. So it's like in that ultraviolet range that you can't see with your eyes, which I don't know if it's technically still ultraviolet, but imagine it'd be like extremely blue light. It's just right outside of your eyes. And I proved that many times here. My good friend, actually, you know what? Let's pull it up right now, just so you don't take my word for it. You can see for it yourself, because why not? My good friend in Houghton Lake, Michigan, he's recorded a lot of great things on his cameras, and I don't know how he gets such good footage, but he is definitely a legit survivor. I've talked to him many times. I haven't talked to him recently. So Kenneth, if you hear this, drop me a line. But he is recorded on his cheap sublight, so it's his $200 security cam system. Incredible things. He's caught their invisibility cloaks. He's caught their lasers, right? These just out of visible. Well, actually, here, let's look at one of his finds, right? This is a little bit off, but his invisibility cloak, because it's just so good for people to see this.
If I were to die tomorrow, I'd want everyone suffering from
it. That's just enough. And then I'll show you the just out of visible light stuff. Okay, so I went ahead and turned the sound off. For everyone that can't see, I'm just going to explain it. There's a ghost of an apparition of a man who's walking across the camera right now, where I've circled in red. And it goes in and out of view. You can tell it's not a regular image, but it is a person clearly walking. And this one doesn't have the red circle. We're seeing it again. For everyone that doesn't think invisibility, camouflaging, or cloaking is real, this for me is as much proof as you'll ever need. I've got many videos of this. This is just because we were going to talk about Kenneth. Kenneth got that, I think, about 3.5 years ago. And with that same camera system, he has gotten many other great things. And I'm going to find it right now so you can see that they do use just out of visible light to attack people. It literally comes up, it looks like spotlights on his camera, but if you were to be there in person and see it, you would see nothing. And it's right here. There we go. So for everyone that can't see, it's going to start in a second, but this is a video again from Kenneth Grove out of Houghton Lake. And I'm going to go to the relevant part. Here it is. What you'll see is it looks, What you'll see is it looks to be light moving across the screen. That light is coming from an FBI contractor's house. That's Kenneth's words, not mine. He found them on LinkedIn. He showed me the proof too. On LinkedIn as an FBI employee. They were living in this house. They had those weapon systems in and around the garage. And then he had one on the other side of him too that was doing the same thing. Those beams of light were hitting various things in his house. They were also coming from drones, and they were also hitting him. So he's got all that on footage. And then we got another piece of footage here of them using aerosols, right, which come up as black on his video system. Now, if you want to recreate some of this, do the work for yourself. Don't just take my word. You only need a cheap Sanus camera system to do it. He literally, it was a $200 camera system, but it's one he religiously updates and checks and stuff like that. So you just got to be diligent with it. And it works because he was seeing it in the just out of visible light spectrum. And of course, when he got enough of that good footage, they eventually moved the range in which they were attacking him. So he could no longer get that good video. But anyways, so back to that. Why was I bringing that up? Because maybe that light that Kenneth had recorded was activating or reacting to this DNA-sized nanobots, which can be controlled by temperature and UV light. Temperature being hotter temperatures, which is magnetic energy, and UV light being basically a highly polarized form of light. It's electrostatic predominant, but that's not really relevant right here. Next article, these DNA-sized nanobots are made for walking and sorting molecular cargo. This was 2017. The field of nanotechnology is still in its nascent stages, but recent innovations are increasingly making the science fiction world of tiny robots into a reality. New breakthrough research from a team at Caltech has demonstrated the ability of a robot made of single strand of DNA to explore a molecular surface, pick up targeted molecules, and move them to another designated location. So that's actually a more advanced form of those nanobots than we're currently being attacked with. Although who knows in the future, those might be more in line with what we're dealing with. So right here, this is Robert McCrae. I've sourced this, cited this article many, many times, but it's probably the best source of disclosure you're ever going to get from an insider. Robert McCrae was a lifelong military guy. He really believed in it, the country and his job, I believe with the Army or Navy. I can't remember. I always forget. I can look it up though. I'll source it for everyone right now, just so you guys can see how legit. The article is called The War Inside Your Mind. Everyone should read it. If you haven't read it, go ahead, do it right now. Robert McCrae was pretty much killed, I believe, for releasing this article. He died a year and a half ago. He had about 3 or 4 presentations on YouTube that were publicly listed, obviously because they were on YouTube. And he had 2 or 3 articles relevant to this, to targeted individuals and neuroweapons human trafficking. And this last article he did was by far the most comprehensive. He doesn't know everything, but everything he knew, he pretty much said the way that he thought would be okay to say. And I believe they still killed him for this. He was dead at 76, though. So it could have just been old age. I don't think so, though. He was an intelligence analyst and professor. A stalwart in the intelligence community died October 6, 2024, following a brief illness. Yeah, what's that sound like? McCrae leaves, it sounds like poisoning and direct energy weapons, to be honest. McCrae leaves behind a legacy of service to his country through his career with the U.S. government and his work in academia. He retired from government service in 2004 after 35 years of dedicated work across several federal agencies, mostly the Department of State, as an intelligence analyst in the Bureau of Intelligence and Research. That's one of those 3-letter agencies that never gets talked about. McCrae served as a senior Soviet military analyst focusing on nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons program. When he died, he was part of those think tanks, those big think tanks that run the country's military programs. He was doing it he was the deputy director of global scientific exchanges. He was associated with Georgetown. He was a professor, sometimes adjunct, sometimes full at Georgetown, George Washington University, George Mason, Virginia Tech, and the National Defense University. Those are literally the biggest players in the military world. And most of the high-up generals and colonels, they are professors and adjunct professors at those places, just like McCrae. So that's what McCrae really was. He was like a 3-star, 4-star general without the formal title of it. He was still in reserve service in the U.S. Army and Air Force. This guy, so he was one of the guys that actually ran the military, all right? Big guy in this world, right? He wrote this article, The War Inside Your Mind. And he wrote it because he was afraid. And he says that in his various YouTube appearances and in this article. But to get to the point of my presentation right now, I'm going to read his exact words right now. In 2012, chemists at New York University, now this is me, he was wrong, it was 2002, so it was just a typo. Chemists at New York University created a nanoscale robot from DNA fragments walking on two legs just 10 nanometers long. This invention was termed a nanowalker. With the help of some molecule attached to the ends of its feet, it takes its first baby steps, 2 forward and 2 back. Its creators envision, a future molecule scale production line where molecules are shifted until the right location is reached. In this unique way, a nanobot injects chemistry. In this unique way, a nanobot injects chemistry like, quote, spot welding on a car assembly line. This is a fairly clear example of biomimetics, where with nanotechnology, they can imitate some of the fundamental biological processes in nature, such as the behavior of DNA, to engineer new methods and perhaps even improve them. The, quote, nanowalker implies a high-intensity level of serious research, which by itself seems benign. But when convergently mixed deliberately with other technologies such as nanotech, neurotech, biotech, and others, paints a different picture as one contemplates the distribution of dangerous weapon systems. Okay, he goes on to say, I just skipped ahead a little bit. So we are left to speculate about the interactive aspects of nanotech embedded as it is with radio frequency, electromagnetics, and other advanced technologies thus far mentioned on human neurological health and cognitive performance. The sheer magnitude and interactive complexity of these convergently engineered technologies create a widely unknown degree of risk and possible misuse by those engaged in doing so. There is no international oversight or treaty-based system which governs, directs, or depicts the true nature of ongoing convergent technology research on a global scale. Worse, we lack the kind of reliable data that point to specific neurobiological impacts on human cognition and neurophysiology, which connects with the extended use of laptops, smartphones, and immersive virtual games. It goes on to talk about how these systems could be used by corporations, basically. That's what he was saying there. But before this, in this article, he talks about basically people being targeted with directed energy weapons. So he's saying that these nanowalkers are being used in conjunction with directed energy weapons. Read the whole article. I'm not jumping to conclusions. You just got to read the whole article, which we're not going to do right now. That article, again, everyone needs to read. You should read. It's literally the best disclosure you're ever going to get from an insider as far as I've seen to this day. It's Robert McCrae, The War Inside Your Mind. It's free. If you literally Google it, The War Inside Your Mind, and look for Robert McCrae, you'll find it. You can read the whole thing as I continue talking about nanowalkers. Moving forward. Nanowalker, I went ahead and I just put this into the search engine, nanowalker deactivation, because it dawned on me the other day. I was like, what if we use the same mechanism in that the people designing nanowalkers use in the lab in an inverse manner? Basically, or even functional. They can't just utilize nanowalkers and not know how to turn them off. And I found something interesting that needs to be gone down, that maybe somebody right now would have a route that someone needs to experiment with that I don't have the money for right now to do, but I hopefully can soon. So many projects in the works, guys, with all of this stuff. I've been doing lots of amazing stuff. I just don't have enough to present anything right now. But nanowalker deactivation can be achieved through specific chemical and enzymatic or physical triggers depending on the design, such as DNA-based bipedal walkers or enzyme-powered motors. Right here. Research on bipedal nanowalkers indicates that UV, so that's ultraviolet irradiation, can induce leg disassociation, effectively deactivating the walker's ability to walk and potentially derailing its movement on a track. Meaning that, yes, UV, like we saw earlier, ultraviolet light, is used to cause replication or even turn them on, get them to move to certain areas, you could potentially overload their construction with that same UV light in a greater proximity or greater amount. You could potentially even modify it too, but that's a different conversation. So what are these types of nanowalkers that are in play? There's burn bridge nanowalkers, which are a first generation class of artificial molecular motors that achieve unidirectional movement. And then there's non-burn bridge nanowalkers, are a second generation class of artificial molecular motors that achieve sustainable, reusable motion. So these two different types of nanobots that they've been developing for the last 30 years. Burn bridge first, which basically can only get to a place before the mechanisms that allow them to move fall apart, and non-burn bridge, which can continuously do things. I believe in our case that the burn bridge nanobot design is the one primarily in use because of the nature, like Robert McRae was saying, of it arriving in a spot and leaving chemistry in a spot weld-like reaction with your body. And that's exactly what's happening. The nanowalkers get to an area, they more or less plaque themselves. So I think the nanowalkers themselves become the bioplaque on you. It's conductive and piezoelectric in nature that the directed energy weapons are accessing. And again, the nanowalkers are only one half of the nanosynthetic biology, nanomachinery in play. The other part is those smart dust, smart filaments, and the food, the air, and water. This is just more of the same. So I went ahead and I just looked up a few things just so we could really understand this DNA idea. DNA nanorobots that can alter artificial cells offer a new tool for synthetic biology. The University of Stuttgart, 2025, so this is more recent, but they've been, of course, that's just because it's at some smaller university. Well, I don't know if it's smaller, but DNA nanorobots that can alter artificial cells, right? They can, so that's what they can do in a lab. Who's saying that they're all artificial that are being done right now, right? This is just what they did in the lab. The shape and morphology of a cell play a key role in the biological function. This corresponds to the principle of form follows function, which is common in modern fields of design and architecture. It's always common, right? Form is function, function is form. The transfer of this principle to artificial cells is a challenge in synthetic biology. Advances in DNA, so basically they can't get the right forms using purely chemical means. Well, that's not the right way to say that. They couldn't get the more advanced form shapes they needed to affect the cell at the level they needed until this nanowalker idea entered. Advances in DNA nanotechnology now offer promised solutions. They allow the creation of novel transport channels that are large enough to facilitate the passage of therapeutic proteins across cell membranes. So basically, they're modifying the cellular membranes to allow various foreign particulate into the cell. That's one of the things that nanowalkers are clear stated are capable of doing. A nanorobot built entirely from DNA to explore cell processes. This is just a summary of it. The next article, this was in 2022. Constructing a tiny robot from DNA and using it to study cell process invisible to the naked eye. You would be forgiven for thinking it's science fiction, but it is in fact the subject of serious research. This highly innovative nanorobot should enable closer study of the mechanical forces applied at microscopic levels, which are crucial for many biological and pathological processes. Okay, so why did I bring all that up? Because there is this bunch of shills and good-meaning people that say this all the time. The directed energy weapons are resonating with your DNA, okay, which there is no evidence of. And the evidence that's out there is that acoustic weapons can potentially, in some instances, cause some cells to have some changes. That's the best evidence at all of any of that claim. There's a little bit more with optogenetics, but if you go into the optogenetics, which is using light as the directed energy instead of acoustic, it's all based around the eyes because the eyes are very, very receptive to light. It's not like they're aiming a directed energy weapon light at people's skin and causing cancer, right? But with the nanomachinery there, that's extremely plausible. So my point of bringing this whole thing up is that I've been telling people wrongly that the directed energy weapons are not resonating with DNA. They are resonating with DNA, just not your DNA. They're resonating with these DNA nanobots, which is so obvious. And with them being the size of DNA, they can get in anywhere. So it doesn't become a data problem anymore for them to access your cell. It becomes a toxicity issue. How toxic can they make you full of this crap, and how deep can they get it, this nanomachinery, synthetic biology, whether it's the nanobots or the smart particles, and how much cellular membranes can they cover with this material to cause the things, the heavy metals, the chemicals that work like synthetic heavy metals to enter and exit your cell, controlled by directed energy weapons, whether those are acoustic or light or anything in between, which is to say like gamma, microwave, radio frequency, whatever. Okay, so that's not only is that feasible, the second thing, not the first thing, it's proven right here publicly that they have the capacity to do that, which jives perfectly with what we're seeing on the ground. It's not that they're resonating with your DNA, it's they're resonating with these DNA nanobots that are getting into everything of your body. Okay, so it goes back to a toxicity problem, and how do we overcome it? Which is, first step, we get that non-organic circuitry out. Second step, which is we call implants, whatever you want to call it. Second step, we utilize very low amounts of electricity to attack the nanomachinery, whether it's in the bioplaque, the smart dust, or the nanobot form. And when we can do those three things effectively, when we can attack it in the air around us, on our body once it plaques, and then on our body when it's moving around from point to point, we're done. We're done with this whole thing, this phase of human neuroweapons, human trafficking, targeted individuals, whatever you call it. Now, once it gets to the body, we can, and it's plaqued itself, for the most part, we can deal with it with electric wire in different application, right? So you got to be clever with it because, of course, the people that are involved in this, they'll get the data back from the failure of the nanomachinery in the form of backscatter, and it's called backscatter. It's basically just like think of it like radar that allows them to see the range of frequency of electrical energies or electrostatic fields that disabled the nanomachinery in your body. Because they have that ability, right? Because that's literally this right here, a nanorobot built entirely from DNA to explore cell processes. These things were built to invade your cells and record the data and send it off. Okay, they right out of the inception, these things were made to do that. So they're going to be able to get that data back, these human traffickers. And as they get that data back, they're going to adjust the frequencies. So it's not just building and utilizing one wearable one time. It's learning this knowledge from an inside out standpoint. Like being able to know this without me telling you to you, but being able to feel it happen in your body. This nanomachinery from the nanowalkers and the smart filament, all that stuff, interacting with directed energy weapons. Okay, because once you have a feel of that, it gets so far beyond this book work that we're doing right now. Okay, so just to sum this up, nanowalkers are DNA sized. Directed energy weapons are definitely resonating with them. So yes, directed energy weapons resonate with DNA. It's not your DNA. It's synthetic biology, nanomachinery, DNA on these nanobots and all that sort of thing that gets in and around your DNA, all throughout your cells potentially. We don't know how deep they penetrate into different parts of your body. And I don't know, if they really get all the way in to the chromosomes. this foreign DNA. Because when they were doing all that fraudulent stuff back in 2020 with that pandemic and everything, and they were shooting people up with shit, excuse my language, a lot of the stuff they put in people only caused those types of DNA changes for a very limited time, like a year or two. And most of the stuff, the people that got injured, it's because that foreign DNA is still reproducing itself. It's not because their DNA was modified to reproduce it like they claimed. Like it's still like literally an infection that can be cleaned out. But either way, that's more speculative than proven, what I just said. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and we're going to open it up to a question I got right before the call started.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah, real quick.
About the DNA.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
What sort of DNA then are they using in these nanorobots?
Well, if you look at the articles, which we can look at right now, it's just they're just using, those 4 base pairs. They're just using them in different combinations. Like I think it was it's like just like a machine,
Human DNA, or is it human DNA or plant DNA or what?
No, it's literally just, it's very, very simple because they're very small. We're talking about 10 nanometers. Hold on, I had it. It's one of these articles. Excuse me. Is it right here? Yeah, here we go. These DNA-sized nanobots are made for walking and sorting molecular cargo. And if you could see, it shows like, we're talking about just a few strands of DNA are 58 nanometers by 58 nanometers. It's not CRISPR-Cas9 tech. It's a totally different technology base. It's not like they're splicing DNA from fruit flies like they're doing with the smart particles. It's more of like they designed this in a lab with the raw ingredients, and they mixed it together using various chemicals and procedure to do that.
So then would you say as well, right, that they may look at selecting certain types of DNA that would be more receptive to hosting these synthetic DNAs?
That's the other technology, the smart filament, smart particles. So the nanowalkers are they're like they're rollers or they're walkers, and if they're rollers, imagine like a rolling pin, and they've got different DNA strands across the roller pin part of it, and it's more or less waiting to feel or waiting to be for the electrochemical reaction near it to get pulled to the next piece and get pulled to the next piece and get pulled to the next piece of wherever it's trying to go. That's how the nanowalker works. The smart particle, smart filaments is a bunch of spliced together DNA that encodes for various structure. So the nanowalker builds the structure by clumping on itself, basically, or injecting chemistry, like Robert McCrae was saying. The smart particle, smart filament, it's got this synthetic biology in it that encodes, that unfolds like a seed. It's two different technology bases that work perfectly together.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, as a host, right, your DNA is different from mine in certain ways, okay? So as a host, would one person be a more suitable host for this type of technology, or possibly could they be looking at something like that, certain types of DNA or certain proteins or enzymes are more, easy to access? I mean, I'm just saying it could be part of their research.
I think that's one of the big reasons why they're doing the neuroweapons human trafficking global. Why it's such a huge thing. It's because they're looking for all this data. How can we get all these different advanced outcomes and all these different demographics? So it's like, yeah, the way your autonomy is definitely going to play a part in how these smart particles and filaments form in your body and how the nanowalkers move throughout your body. But the nanowalkers are going to be less reactive because of the nature of what they are than the smart filaments. The smart filaments are growing like a seed in your body, right? And the nanowalkers are crawling through like little mites, like very, very, very little mites.
Okay, so what you're saying then essentially is that they have no interest in our DNA. It's that they're creating DNA from something, whether it's a chicken or a human or whatever. It doesn't say, but it's just DNA that is entering our DNA. But they have no interest in an individual's DNA.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, of course, they want to know how these interact with our DNA. But the directed energy weapons aren't resonating first with our DNA. They're resonating first with this foreign DNA from the synthetic biology nanomachinery or from the nanowalkers, which are themselves made of DNA.
Right.
So it's inverse to the way you would think about it. You would think, well, not you, but most people, that directed energy weapons are accessing our DNA. Yes, sure. A little bit. That's what we've just found out, right? To what extent, we don't know. But they're doing that inversely through the synthetic biology, nanomachinery, and nanowalkers. Because those are literally of foreign DNA or, well, it's all foreign DNA. They're either literally made like nanowalkers or literally made of DNA. And the synthetic biology, nanomachinery is like a Russian doll disease of foreign DNA.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it sort of invades your DNA.
We don't know. We don't know where this stuff all clumps at in the cell itself. You know what I mean? I don't know that process. I don't think it's as prevalent in the DNA as it is the cellular membrane, like they were talking about. All the research points to that the cellular membrane is hijacked. And
but once they get through that, that's where that's the business end. That's where the RNA is, and that's where the cell itself is going to reproduce itself through the mitochondria.
And I do know that it gets a part of the repair process. Like they do get nanotechnology evidence is found in Clifford Carnicombe, carnicombeinstitute.org. You look it up yourself. It becomes part of the repair process of the body. But beyond that, it's not like it's still, even though it's become part of that repair process, say like scar tissue, it's still, when it's introduced to the right electrical energies, which we've been talking about, like the step 2 of how to overcome, it still detoxes from your body. It's just a little bit longer of a process, right? So it's not necessarily, I don't know how to say this, the DNA, the RNA does float around your cell, right? The DNA itself is encapsulated in more layers. So the foreign DNA from the smart particles or the nanowalkers, I believe is, well, I don't know exactly because nobody knows for sure. A lot of this research they're not putting out. But what we do know is that the directed energy weapons, based off their own studies, you see, they would just say UV and light or electrical currents or whatever, radio frequency, whatever they're going to say, right? They're not going to call it directed energy weapons in those lab reports. But in those lab reports, in those papers, it's talking about those mechanisms interacting with energy, right? That they're directing, so directed energy at these things. So again, it becomes at what point and how much are they resonating with what properties of your cell, right? Because when they clump onto something, like for example, I don't know, I'm trying to find something. This pen, it's not a great example. This piece of paper, I think I can microwave this piece of paper and nothing happens, right? You know what I mean? I don't think there's anything else on this that will cause any reaction with the microwave. But if I coat it with a thin amount of metallic paint, which is kind of what those nanobots, those polymers are, the polymer construction of nanotechnology is, and then I put it in the microwave, now I can get this piece of paper to catch on fire. I can get it to resonate with the microwave in a so-called damaging way, you know? So what's the difference? You know, when the foreign DNA is there and it's covering the cellular membrane, which is to say like the outside of this piece of paper, and then it reacts with microwaves, it would be able to cause similar reactions as if it was resonating with the cell itself. Because then you are like more or less blowing up the cell from the outside, potentially.
Yeah, but the difference is, I think, is that you can get rid of it. If it hasn't penetrated the cell, you can do exactly what you're talking about and remove it from the body. But if it's already penetrated the cell to a point where it becomes part of the cell itself, then it isn't going anywhere, is it? It's going to stay there, and it will be.
No.
They'll be able to control it, or perhaps it will unfold and begin to do what it's programmed to do, which is probably to replicate or to hide itself within the cell.
Well, it would be doing all of those things for sure, replicating and hiding itself in the cell. And it would be harder to remove inside the cell, but your cell can become polarized and unpolarized just like any part of anything. So if you put those currents through the cell, these electrostatic magnetic fields are in conjunction electric, it will go through the cell and have a reaction. You can clean it out the inside of a cell. It's not that it's not treatable, because if it wasn't treatable, this plaque would have grown so thick on your body from the inside out, you more or less would have died already, right? If your body wasn't naturally detoxing it at different phases, would have got sick and died already by far. You know, it would have happened a long time ago. And it's not just you, that's anybody that's been exposed to this for any length of time. Your body naturally, it's like when you sweat. If you weren't able to get this stuff out of you, then when you sweat, you can literally, and you can do this, anybody can do this right now. You can take a red light, an infrared light, if you don't want to move, and you can aim it on one part of your skin where the bioplaque is thick, where you know that plaqued on crap is there on your skin. And then after you start sweating a little bit, you can take your hand and rub it over that area, and it will come up with like what looks to be a rubber cement. Like a little rubber cement like thing will come off. That's the bioplaque. And that bioplaque, it's not just the polymer, it's the polymer having invaded the cell, or various functions within the polymer invading the cell, producing various structure, and then plaquing. So you can, and if you don't have a red light, you literally just get up a real nice sweat, and then go ahead, and especially where you have hair, right, where you have like arm hair or leg hair or whatever, and you go ahead and you rub that part, and you'll see that rubber cement stuff come up. So our body is detoxing the stuff intracellularly and extracellularly already. When you add the electric wire or the other various little bits of electricity, the putting the electric wire in the bottle or whatever, what it's doing is it's allowing, like say in the bottle, it's giving that oscillation of that electrostatic and magnetic field syncopated, it's giving it a carrier wave of ultrasound or sound, I guess it would be sub-sound, whatever that's called, and vibration, a mechanical pressure wave, and it's traveling through your body because it's a compressional wavelength, whatever. That compressional, this answers your question succinctly. Compressional wavelengths penetrate intracellularly. That's how one of the proposed mechanisms of intracellular communication is electrostatic fields, primarily compressional waves, moving about the cell and the cells around them and so forth. Compressional wavelengths, remember, they don't form like a wave, like an ocean wave. It's like and you can see my screen, this pin pushing and pulling, so to speak. It's more of a pull, compressional, but it's the primary wave of an earthquake. It's the direct force acting upon it, right? So it can go right through anything, which is why, and I know I've covered this before, why they use acoustic weapons in the process of getting the nanomachinery to plaque, which I didn't talk about earlier in the review, which I should have. But they use acoustic weapons because they penetrate the cells. They penetrate from the outside of your skin all the way through your GI. They vibrate you all the way through, in and out. That's why when you stand by a loudspeaker, why you can feel it on your insides. All right, so compressional wavelengths, either whether that's electrostatic predominant electricity or electrostatic fields without the electricity, will treat the intracellular infection of this stuff, which we already see. That's why you can take two magnets, put them in polarity, which creates an electrostatic field, and then put your finger in it and get relief. All right, but it's not just, that's not the end all be all. It's not the one size fits all, because it's not just your blood you need to treat. It's not just, and then you can't just use one frequency, because the people attacking you with these things are eventually going to get that backscatter data and adjust their weapon systems accordingly to buffer what you're doing with their sound and radio frequency, microwave energy, and whatever, terahertz, whatever, all the way up to gamma ray.
Then bikers aren't doing this, and
okay, we can get to that. It was, and then I'll get to your question that you asked before. Yes, bikers 100%, outlaw bikers are 100% doing this in my area. The Banditos are the main group doing this here. They work with the Vancouver Police Department. They work with the Vancouver Police Department works with the FBI. All right, they're 100% on the ground. Outlaw bikers are doing this, 100%. They've got trap houses all around me. That's the criminal apparatus here, the street gang involved here. Now that's one aspect of neuroweapons human trafficking. Vancouver Police Department is heavily involved. The Clark County Sheriff Office is heavily involved. The courthouse is heavily involved. The city of Vancouver is heavily involved, right? So there's many aspects of that. Don't get caught up in the outlaw biker thing being the only people in this, but they're the people that are breaking into my house when I'm not here. If I allowed that, they're the ones more often than not always, positioned in these trap houses near me, within a rock throw, whatever. But in different places of the country or different places in the world, there's going to be different groups. When I was traveling through Mexico, Costa Rica, Panama, Bolivia, Brazil, there was, did I say Nicaragua? There was different groups involved everywhere. In Mexico, the primary group aiming in the directed energy weapons and the aerosols, that's where the smart filaments come in, is from aerosols and chemtrails and all that. It's like basically ground-based chemtrails. They were Mexican, American, or American military, whether on or off duty. Some of them were on fake vacation, some of them were on real vacation. I was in the Cancun area. In Costa Rica, it was dual national Costa Rican American military, Costa Rican military, and Israelis. In Nicaragua, it was Israelis until basically they had made deals with the local Sandinista government because the infrastructure wasn't set up there. It's a long story. I spent 3 months in Nicaragua. This is back in 2022. It was Israelis that set it up. And then by the time and Costa Ricans and Costa Rican Americans. And by the time I left, it was Nicaraguans that were doing it. In Bolivia, it was Bolivians and Brazilian Israelis primarily. And then Chinese too. The Chinese were set up in Bolivia. There's a whole bunch of reasons. And then in Brazil, it was Israelis, Brazilians, and Brazilian Americans. So it depends where you are. And Like here in the United States, the intensity of the neuroweapons human trafficking is so much greater than pretty much anywhere, probably. Maybe Israel is on the same level, maybe Great Britain, maybe France, Canada, that type of thing. Australia, New Zealand, I imagine they're about the same, 5 eyes, 6 eyes, about the same level. They'll use as people removed from their federal apparatuses as possible to aim the weapon systems. Here, where I'm at in Vancouver, Washington, that's the Banditos. All right. If you're in California, it's probably going to be Hell's Angels. But that's not always the case. If you're in a different place of the country, like in a rural application, it's probably your sheriff's office. But it's not just one group. It's a hierarchy. It's a hierarchy of evil. Okay, so to go over your, Blake, your question, Blake wanted to know before the recording started why his lymph nodes were swollen and how to protect while sleeping. The lymph nodes are swollen. You'll see them swollen all over your body, your thighs, under your armpits, underneath your chin, under your rib cage, like you were talking about. You'll find them everywhere because you're breathing aerosols. These aerosols have this is one of the biggest reasons, not the only reason. Those aerosols have smart filaments and heavy metals in them. All right, those smart filaments are the nanotechnology, the first type I was referring to throughout the beginning of this presentation. That's the stuff that grows like a seed within you. Usually it plaques your gastrointestinal, your upper the upper, right underneath your stomach. The upper, God, that's so annoying. The upper tract. And from there, it parasites into your blood, basically like a leaky gut syndrome type thing, and then it moves around your blood. And it will steal the nutrients from your food to cause its proliferation through your blood stream off of that upper digestion tract. But it also, over time, gets the lower digestion tract and then the colon. It'll plaque all of that really badly. So always be doing colon cleanses. If you want to stop your lymphs from swelling as bad as they are, be cleansing as much as you can. That goes into the third step of how to overcome directed energy weapon attacks. Detox, detox, detox. Detox is a crucial part of that, like you already started doing. Cleaning your colon will help greatly with that. Something about the lymph nodes draining from the legs through your colon that really, really helps with that. To protect yourself while sleeping, it's not any one thing. It's understanding that the directed energy weapons are accessing the nanomachinery in those areas. Okay, so for example, if you haven't deactivated implants, the best thing you can do for yourself right now is build a contraption that makes an electrostatic field. Okay, the easiest way to do that is with aluminum foil and saran wrap. If you basically make a capacitor. You take aluminum foil and then you wrap it in plastic wrap, which is a Teflon, right? And then you do that again, 3 layers: aluminum, plastic, aluminum, plastic, aluminum, plastic. You make a good section of it. That is a capacitor, all right? It's just not a capacitor in electronic, but it's still a capacitor. I call that a capacitor mat. If you make one of those right now and you put it on your body where you're getting symptoms, it will alleviate by attenuating the magnetic energies that are being sent at you. Now, I know that's a bit much to hear all at once because the physics behind it, but the physics, by the way, the model that we're using is etheric physics. It's very real. If you want to look into that more, Uncovering the Missing Secrets of Magnetism by Ken Wheeler is a great place to start. You'll learn so much about the physics that they occulted from, the Rockefellers, all that university system 100 years ago. Tesla, Steinmetz, Oliver Heaviside, there's like 2 others I always forget. The people that built the modern electrical system that we use, the power grid that we use, they understood the etheric physics model. That's the only model they used. And basically what it states, the key principle you can take away from it, is that there is only electrostatic or dielectric. Dielectric is another word for electrostatic fields, and magnetic fields, which is to say compressive and tensive fields, fields that compress in and fields that compress out. And if you're being attacked without having done anything, if they haven't had to change their methods, what they're doing is they're attacking you with a magnetic predominant weapon system, which is to say a non-thermal causing magnetic laser array, right? Those are called lasers or what's the other one? Masers, depending on which part of the frequency range they're using. But they pulse it in such a way that the pulse itself generates enough electrostatic charge that it cools the magnetic effect, meaning that people can be hit without a thermal reaction. But that being said, you can test that thermal reaction very easily with a thermal camera, and you'll see the parts of your body that are hidden, because the nanomachinery itself does heat up a lot of times. So anyways, to deal with that attenuation, or to attenuate that magnetic energy, which is tensive, you can use electrostatic generators, or that's not the right word for conduits, like capacitors, right? That's the base level understanding of the physics. A better thing to do, instead of making that capacitor, Matt, would be utilizing the electric wire. What is the electric wire? This is copper.
I already thought that.
Did you put it in a bottle?
I didn't put it in a bottle, but it's hitting me I got injected with it for 6 months. So I got so much of it in me that it's unbelievable.
During break-ins?
No, they put it in my testosterone shots.
Okay. Very good that you found that out. I'm sorry that happened to you. But it's really good that you found that out. So you got a bunch of this mRNA going through your body. Okay, so actually I'm going to have for you a more specific thing. All right, this goes for anyone that's had that type of thing happen to them. If you go on Onionhead Andrew, I'm so glad you're aware of that. If you go on Onionhead Andrew on YouTube in the DIY playlist, you'll see a device. It's called high voltage EMP device. That's the name of the video. And what it is you build a car ignition coil EMP, which utilizes the same working principle as the stun gun EMP, but it's a lot higher voltage, it's a lot more powerful. It'll fry a lot of that shit that got put in your body. Maybe not all of it, but a lot more than, I don't know what amount, but it will help you to some extent. I don't know the amount because I don't know what they put in you, but I do know it helps tremendously. It's a car ignition coil EMP. It costs about $100 to make, give or take. It'll take you 4 or 5 hours your first time putting it together, but it's all in that video, and you can email me. If you can't do that, or you don't want to do that, then have you built the stun gun EMP?
Yeah, that's not something. I don't think that this is resistant to that, for sure.
It all fits together. It all goes together for all the reasons I was saying. So if you do one step but not the other, you're only going to get limited results. The non-organic circuitry. It's when I say implant, it's not the implant that it can be the surgery implant, but I'm thinking more of like hydrogels, to be honest. I'm thinking more of like that enzyme technology that forms semi-solid circuitry. I'm not thinking like 1980s implants that are the size of a rice, although those are involved too. But either way, the stun gun EMP is somewhat is productive at disabling a lot of that stuff. The high voltage car ignition coil penetrates the body much, much more deeply. I'll tell you this, I had someone who was injected at a visit to a spook doctor. Now, at the time, he didn't know this doctor was a spook, but this doctor was directly aligned, I can't name names, with, quote, targeted individuals in Havana syndrome. It was like a referral of a referral, but they were supposed to be helping treat the State Department and Havana syndrome people in the government, whatever. When this gentleman that I know personally went to see this doctor injected him with a long needle full of similar to the medical injections that happened in 2020. The only reason I'm censoring myself is because I'm going to put this on YouTube so it can help more people. But you should be able to fill in the blanks. It was a similar thing, probably more potent than what they injected into people. And anyways, I personally ran a car ignition coil EMP over this person, and he received drastic help with that area that had been injected within a very short time period. Within 10 minutes, he noticed some relief. Within 6 hours, he noticed a lot of relief. Within 2 weeks, it was much, much better, if not completely resolved. I believe last time I talked to him, he said it was more or less completely resolved. That was with the car ignition coil EMP. That's my best recommendation for you. You got any other questions?
I've been using like a TENS unit.
Okay, a TENS unit is a different. It's a different idea that can be utilized to help with the nanomachinery, but it can also help grow the nanomachinery. But it's not a TENS unit doesn't do the same thing at all. A TENS unit sends electrical charges across the surface of your skin, and it doesn't pulse them in a way like that you would need. It's not a burst. It is a fairly stable wavelength. That being said, TENS unit does break up nano wires in the bioplaques on the surface of your skin. That's why it helps. It does not help over a medium or long-term amount of time, but it will help in the very short term. The EMP that's generated from a stun gun or a car ignition coil is much, much more effective because of the nature of the pulse. Once you put a electrical energy into a pulse, the effect is far more profound because of the push and pull, the electrostatic and magnetic fields that become generated from that pulse. It's physics stuff. And like I said, if you want to look into this, you understand the physics yourself and not take my word for it, Uncovering the Missing Secrets of Magnetism by Ken Wheeler. All right, he's also got a YouTube channel. It's called Theoria Aposphia. I recommend everyone follow him. A lot of his videos, though, are just topical. He doesn't talk physics theory in every video. But he's one guy among many, many, many people that have figured this out. He's just the most accessible person in 2026 to get the deepest level of physics understanding without paying any money that anyone can access because of his free books and his YouTube channel. That's why I reference him. But yes, you can look it up for yourself, Ken Wheeler, Uncovering the Missing Secrets of Magnetism. I recommend everyone do so and not take my word. Don't take my word for any of this, but go ahead. Was there anything else, Blake?
No, I mean, it's so bad that I had an episode where there was a ground-based weapon across the road from a DOD contractor that turned it on, and it made me walk down the road not knowing who I was because I was vibrating so hard, and basically like directed where I was going and everything. Like, that's how crazy it is.
Yeah, I get
So,
that.
like, my whole entire body is hijacked.
Yeah, get that stun gun EMP or the cognition. I would get the cognition coil if I were you going. You can. Are you handy?
Am I what?
Are you handy?
Like mechanically?
Can you build things?
Yeah.
Okay, you can build one of these then. The circuitry is really easy to figure out. All you need is a dimmer switch, a 5 microfarads capacitor, which you can get from a box fan. That's the capacitor on the box fan motor, and a cognition coil. And then a few other pieces here and there, and you just need to put it together. It's a lot easier than it sounds. When you're running those especially if you live in the United States, other people that don't live in the United States, it can be a lot more difficult because of the pieces, finding those pieces. But if you live in the United States, you can get everything in one drive through town. Home Depot will have the dimmer switch and the capacitor in the form of the box fan. You'll have to take I've got an old box fan. You'll have it there too. But you could get the capacitor, or you could get the capacitor for it doesn't matter, an AC unit. That's a 10 microfarad. That will work too. But you can get it in a big hardware store, 2 of the 3 pieces you need, and then you'll need lots of other little things. You get all that there, and then the cognition coil that you need is the standard oil-filled cognition coil for pre-1972 cars. And you just wire that up, and you put it into like a little array, like a basically coils, and where it's safe for you to handle. And then you put the coils over your body in a controlled manner, and it will send a powerful electromagnetic burst that will fry a lot of that crap they injected you with. Okay, I don't know how much, because I don't know what they injected you with, but it will be noticeable and it will be immediate. But I do not know how noticeable the quality of life improvement will be. It could be drastic, it could be amazing, or it could be much better. It's going to be somewhere along those lines, though. Much better quality of life or amazing. But I don't know. I don't know what they injected you with.
Hey, and Andrew?
Yep.
Hi, I have a question. This is Gwendolyn.
Hey,
I've got a question now. I built my stun gun, and it worked perfectly. It was fine. And then it started to fizzle out at the end, at the very tip, right, where it sparks. So I have to redo it to, so you think that's normal, or?
Did you buy it in person?
Did I buy it? No. Well, I have the same one that you used in your video. I got mine from Amazon.
Okay. So a lot of the times when you're using the mail, they'll tamper with it.
No, I don't leave. Oh my God, I don't leave that around anywhere. I take it with me every day.
No. When Amazon's heavily involved in this. So a lot of times when you get stuff ordered, right? Not every time, but a lot of times, they'll physically mess with it in delivery, and then they'll put it back together in the packaging. Yeah, it's very, very common. I'm sure many other people here. So anyways, that could have happened. If it's not holding a charge at all, it's because that happened. It got tampered with, or it was faulty from the factory. Usually it's because it gets tampered with. That's one of the main things they like tampering with. Is any
Okay, but it was working very strongly, and then at the tip of it where the spark comes in, that's when it starts to fizzle.
Yeah, and the way they tamper with it is they'll spray various solvents into the charge ports so that the solder behind the charge ports wears away. I was talking to a electrical engineer about this. Self-taught, he's a targeted individual, but he's a neuroweapons human trafficking survivor. He's legit, though. You guys, a lot of you would know his name. I'm not going to list him right now, though. But either way, we were talking about this with the tampering they do with the things that he builds and all that, and we both found that was usually the case. Is that when something charges and works, and then when you go to charge it next time, it works less, and then the next time it works less, the next time it works less. Usually, what was going on is that they had sprayed some sort of solvent that was eroding the circuitry over multiple charges. So it fails over, a few uses versus immediately.
Oh, okay. So my next question regarding the same thing: how soon do you know when the nanobot is turned off? Because when I was using it, the nano would go away. I can't tell you what part of my body, but it would go away and then it would come back.
Okay, so
Like
that's
it was trying to protect itself.
that's two different. There's two different things happening. Okay, the stun gun EMP or the car ignition coil EMP, for that matter. That burst it produces does mess up the nanomachinery. It really does. All right, that's not what its intended purpose is, though.
Oh.
Its intended purpose is to go after the non-organic circuitry in your body. Okay, the nanomachinery circuitry is synthetic biology. It is also non-organic, but it's made of organic. That's not the right way to say that. It's made of organic material arranged in a non-organic fashion, non-native fashion. Okay, so what am I saying? I'll try to make this simple. The stun gun EMP or the car ignition coil EMP will will get rid of those implants or whatever you want to call it. And it will, on short term, deactivate or tear apart the nanomachinery. But the nanomachinery is constantly growing back into your body. All right, primarily because of the nanowalkers and the aerosols. The aerosols have smart particles and filaments in them. When you're at your house, do you have chapped lips? Do you have chapped lips, a sore throat? Do you feel dry tongue? Is your nose often, is it, you know what I'm talking about? Do you have anything like that? Do you smell chemicals?
I do smell chemicals, yes, but my nose stopped bleeding. Well, see, I was bleeding from the nose and the rear, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
and
okay.
I started listening to frequencies on YouTube, and then those areas stopped bleeding.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you found that's well, I guess we could go right now. It's kind of another thing though. The acoustic, the nanomachinery reacts to, it's piezoelectric. What piezoelectric means is it reacts to mechanical pressure in the form of sound and ultrasound, and electricity or electrostatic and magnetic fields. Okay, so when you were playing those sound frequencies, it was interacting with the nanomachinery in the nose for your benefit, which I'm glad you found.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's not why I brought that up. The point of me bringing that up is that the smells that you're getting are the aerosols. And those aerosols are basically ground-based chemtrails. In those ground-based chemtrails is smart particles. When those smart particles, smart filaments, they're like Russian doll disease. You know what a Russian doll is?
Well, I've seen them. I've heard of them.
Yeah, okay. It's like a doll inside a doll inside a doll, a nesting doll.
Yeah,
That's what that smart particles is. It's all this crazy DNA encoded into all this crazy DNA from, like we were talking about, that's the synthetic biology is. You breathe these smart particles in if you're targeted 24/7. That's what these chemtrails are, these contractors, that's what they're releasing around you. All right? And you breathe them in, they're growing you. They're constantly growing in you.
Oh,
so when you
Lord.
Yeah, so when you use that stun gun EMP, you were like, it was like you were cutting the world's quickest thorns, quickest growing thorns. And within an hour or 2 hours or whatnot, those thorns had grown back into that part of your body. Now, what the thorn really is a 3D web-like matricy. So it's basically like a spider web in 3 dimensions that grows into wherever they're aiming sound and energy weapons, directed energy weapons. They can cultivate the growth of it in various areas of your bodies with the directed energy weapons. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well,
so
kind of.
I know it's a lot, but I'm trying to break it apart.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. The stun gun EMP, what it's doing is it's producing a very rapid magnetic electrostatic field. Okay? That's where the pulse
So
is
let me stop you for a second.
Okay,
When I touch it or when I put it against my face or my eyes or my head, I do feel a sort of vibration coming from the coil, the thing that we wrapped around into a circle.
Yeah, that's right.
I do feel something from that.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
That thing that you're feeling is the piezoelectric nanomachinery. What's piezoelectric? It means it can convert sound into electricity and electricity into sound or mechanical pressure. That's what piezoelectric
I'm talking about from the gun, from the stun gun.
No, I know.
Okay.
But you're not actually feeling the EMF from the field, the electromagnetic frequency from the field of the stun gun. Sorry, I said that wrong. You're not so much feeling the EMF from the stun gun. You're feeling the EMF from the stun gun react with the nanomachinery.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the amazing aspect of what we're going through. Because we've got all this conductive piezoelectric material in our body, we can train our bodies to learn the different feelings of electricity, electrostatic fields, and magnetic fields. Okay, so what you were feeling was an electrostatic predominant electrical field, that vibration. All right?
I have a question for you.
And it was, hold on a second, and it was interacting with the nanomachinery that was present on that part of your body, which is from a plaque from the outside in. So when you use the stun gun, right, on that area with the coil on the stun gun, on the EMP stun gun, it was sending a burst of that electrostatic predominant electrical energy into that nanomachinery, and it was like weed eating the vines, right? The 3D web matricey lattice, imagine a spider web, and it was electrically causing the spider web to rapidly decay and fall apart. Okay,
now yes, I love it. Thank you very much. Yeah, I love it. Go ahead.
Within 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, depending on how much energy you were being hit with, how much sound you were being hit with, and where it was being aimed, that regrew into that area. That's how quick this stuff grows. If you want to see it for yourself, go to carnicominstitute.org. Clifford Carnicom took that same nanotechnology, synthetic biology, from the chemtrails and targeted people and grew it in a Peachtree dish. And he exposed it to 0.05 milliamps or something like that, like a very, very low amount of electricity, which is basically what we're being hit with from these directed energy weapons. And it's still very impactful, though, and incredibly impactful, but there's a whole thing with that. And he got it to grow in a Peachtree dish and make those 3D web matrices inches of growth within a day, more than inches of growth, I guess 5 inches or something like that, a crazy amount, which if you think about, that's a crazy amount. 5 inches is from the front of your neck all the way to the back of your neck. Now, take that idea, and expand it 10 hours, expand it into 48 hours, 72 hours, 100 hours, 1,000 hours, 10,000 hours, right? How long have you been targeted? How many years?
Since I found out, probably longer than I found out in 2017.
Okay, so
the direct energy weapons didn't come till maybe a year or two later.
Yeah, you were probably been attacked with nanomachinery and directed energy since 2016. That's usually what it is.
Yeah,
a year and a half.
And I used to blame it. I would blame it on getting older. That's supposed to happen. Those burns in front of my legs. That's supposed to happen. I'm getting older. I didn't know any better.
Yeah. I was 24 when it started. Just turned 24, and I was like, man, my memory is going. I just don't know what to do. But because I was very physically active, so I didn't have any evidence on my body. I was a wildland firefighter, but I was very, very, very forgetful, and it was crazy, But either way, I don't want to get too far off. You've been targeted now for 9 years or 10 years, pretty much, in this way, to this extreme level of nanomachinery.
That I'm aware of. But go ahead.
Yeah, that you're aware of, but that's usually what it is for the people that are here on the call. That timeline is pretty normal for the directed energy nanomachinery aspect of this. the greater targeting in your family, yeah, who knows, right? Mine goes back to 92. Yours probably goes back a while before that too. You know, you would know better than me. But the directed energy weapons, the nanomachinery has had all that time. It's gotten everywhere, okay? It's everywhere in your body. It's through your bones, through your organs. It's in your brain.
Oh, yeah.
It's everywhere, okay? So as it goes to the paradigm of why I say do all the things, not just some of the things. Because, you know, to get to the nanomachinery, you've got to get to those implants. You got to get those implants out of the picture. And when you get the implants out of the picture, the nanomachinery is much less, it has much harder time pioneering your body. But it's continuously growing in your body. And it grows so much that if you look at pictures of yourself from now back to when you were being more heavily targeted before you started implementing these things, and even before that, before you were targeted at all, you'll see swelling in places, your face, the way your eyes, nose, ears, arms, hands. Some people will look at pictures of themselves and say, I don't even look like me. And it's like, yeah, because you've got all that bioplaque on your skin, which is like a thick, clear glaze, like on an old-fashioned donut you get from like Krispy Kreme or something like that. You know, that thick glaze? It's clear, but you've got it on you. And then you'll have all that nanomachinery.
Some people will bathe in baking soda and whatnot to get that off, and they swear it's coming off in the bath water. So is that, do you have something for that, like to try to get the biofilm off?
Okay, this is, I personally, what I do that's the most effective for me, and I don't like bathing in any of that stuff anymore. I really don't. I'll put salt in the bathtub, but that's about it. But that's personal to me. I have skin sensitivities because I went too far with it back in 2017. But I wouldn't suggest anybody develop those skin sensitivities. You just don't want to go down that route. That's my opinion. But the best solution for your skin and body that you can reproduce is your sweat. Get your sweat going. And once you really start sweating, what happens is you can mechanically remove the bioplaque from the outside of your body. Now, if you don't want to get that sweat going by physical activity, you just think about it. How do professional athletes, how does a wrestler sweat before they have to weigh in? You know what I mean? They'll put on a sweater and sweats. I used to wrestle, and they'll put on a black trash bag over it, and you'll just pour sweat on the inside, right? And then once you get to that point, you can literally take your hand, move it across your skin, and the bioplaque will come off. Now, it will come off like rubber cement, like dried rubber cement. You can use red lights. You can use oils.
What about Epsom salts and, you know, and the other concoction, like with the baking soda, the Epsom salts, and something else people are using in the bathtub? I know you're trying to get away from it. I know what you just said, but... Yeah,
that's exactly what I'm trying to say, is that I just, you know, the bathtub stuff, it's good in some applications some of the time, but I think far too many people rely upon it and don't get much out of it when you can get a lot more. But that's to each their own. If it works for you, you're hearing me talk right now, it works for you, keep up at it. Keep doing it. But what worked better for me was sweat, shaving. This is why I used to be without beard and facial hair, because I didn't have a good control of the wearables and I needed to shave to keep the bioplaques off me. But oils and razors, castor oil and mineral oil with a razor, you can shave some of this bioplaque off you without hurting your skin. Sweating in conjunction with that works very good. That's primarily what I used to do. Today what I do is sweating and mechanically removing it with like a foot scraper. But it just comes off me too. I can see it come off me in the right light because of the wearables and everything else I'm doing. When you get the wearables really ironed out, the bioplaque isn't nearly as sticky. It still needs to be removed though, because like that detox part of it still needs to happen.
Okay. Andrew, just real quick, I got one more question. I'll let your other caller ask you a question. I've always been curious about this, and I never knew like a real answer. What does it mean by getting off the X? And then I'm gonna mute myself. If it's too long, I'll listen to it on another, next week or sometime. But what does that mean, getting off the X? And I'm gonna mute myself.
Well, no. Stay on. I don't know what you mean. Getting off the X.
Oh, you never heard of that? A few years ago, the targeted community was talking about getting off the X, and I never understood that. So you never heard of that?
It sounds like a Twitter reference.
That has something to do with our targeting. I don't know. I've always been curious myself.
Well, it sounds like...
Is it getting off the program? I've heard about this thing called you can be like no touch, so they can't touch you. Maybe that's what she's talking about. Actually, getting off the program.
Well, it's referred to as getting off the X. So that's all I know.
I've heard that phrase, but it's only been about Twitter, which is now called X. But I have never heard that.
No, it has to. This one has to do with us targeted people. But anyway, that's okay. Thank you very much, Andrew. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I have a question for you, Andrew.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I didn't mean to interrupt. You have excellent educational information. On removing the nano stuff inside your body, I was going to ask you something about wheatgrass and chlorella or spirulina. Would that also help too, like getting detoxed from heavy metals, or what do you think about that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Every heavy metal detox protocol, the cleaner the ingredients are, the less corporate hands have touched them, the better it's going to work for you. Now that goes into the third step of how to overcome directed energy weapons. I don't think you heard that part. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But go on to Onionhead Andrew on Rumble, YouTube, and Substack. Yeah. I record all these calls, and you can go back and watch some of these other classes and stuff. But definitely. Basically, yeah, the idea is that the third step is detox. And when it comes to detoxing these heavy metals and nanomachinery, they're always heavy metals, nanomachineries gone together. You want to do the first and second step to be really effective to doing the detox. But if you don't do the stun gun EMP first, and then the building and utilizing wearables and figuring that out second, then the third step won't be as effective. You'll need to do it more, but you can still do it, which is detoxing. The trick now here, this is the pertinent for your question. The knowledge that will really benefit you with the detox part of how to overcome directed energy weapon attacks is understanding acidic and alkaline. All right? And then not only that, but getting good habits about the food you eat, limiting the amount of corporate slop food with all this smart particle crap in it. If you're eating at McDonald's, anything like that, and you're going to pay a little bit of a price for it with this smart particle stuff. The acidic versus alkaline, the easiest way to get a cursory or even a little bit adept information at this is looking at Robert O. Young, The Alkaline Diet. Okay? And if you want to really go fast through that information, he has got a series of lectures. There was over one day. Took place in Harvard. I have them posted on Rumble. That you have to go back about 2 years, year and a half. It's called Robert O. Young Harvard lecture. He became a targeted individual because of this information. And basically, it describes a new type of biology. It will revolutionize the biological field in the coming years. But that's a longer conversation anyways. And what it describes is the mechanism behind the acidic versus alkaline exchanges or interchanges in our body. Now, you said, will chlorea help when spirulina, I think is how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Both of those are very alkalizing agents. By the time you consume them and they work in your body, they're very alkaline. All right? Most targeted people, if not all targeted people, neuroweapons, human trafficking survivors more accurately, are being constantly inundated with aerosols that contain smart particles and heavy metals. When those enter our bloodstream through our lungs, it makes us incredibly acidic. Now, that's not one system in your body. That's every system in your body becomes, or almost every system in your body becomes more acidic. So if you look at it as basically the most alkaline, freshest, rawest vegetables and fruits, or that cause the most alkaline reaction, they'll produce the most significant detoxes. Those vegetables, in my opinion, are in this order: garlic, onions, it's not mint, it's that's so annoying. Cilantro.
Basil?
Cilantro. Cilantro is a fantastic heavy metal detox. But garlic and onions, they go off like very, very powerfully, I'm trying to say this a different way, but they go off like bombs on those on that nanotechnology. It just rips it apart. Garlic will blow your mind. Eat it raw. It'll blow your mind. And if you have to, because of the taste or whatever, especially maybe the first few times, cut it up. Some people, they like to squeeze it and then have it wait like 20 minutes, half an hour. I think that's the most effective when you get used to it. But you can cut it up pretty fine and put it in like a thing of fruit and eat like pineapple. That works really good. But pineapple's got a lot of toxins in it anyways. But the main thing is you'll find your own things that you like. The main thing is understanding the acidic versus alkaline by looking at the Robert O. Young's alkaline diet information.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate your information.
You're welcome.
Andrew, quickly.
That was the hold on 1 second, Sakib. That was the first thing I figured out, like 7-8 years ago. I remember it just brought me to my knees too, when like the first big breakthrough I had. It's like I kept eating these orange peels, and orange peels are incredibly alkaline, and grapefruit peels, and it literally brought me to my knees praying, thanking God, because I'd eat these and all my symptoms would go away, but it would only last for as long as I was eating them, pretty much. Last for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that after I was finished. And it was through that understanding I realized that these alkaline foods were creating electrostatic predominances in my body. And it was like, well, why is that working? Why is electrostatic energy working? It's because we're being, when you're targeted before you fight back, the main thing you're dealing with is magnetic directed energy weapon predominance. So they'll use an electrical interchange between the nanomachinery and magnetic attacks. And basically, this is another way to think of this. Magnetism equals acidic equals hot. Hot energy is magnetic, just inherently, and it's expansive. It's an expansive field, and acidic is right in there with it. We're just talking about different densities of matter that's interacting with you different ways. When it's in the thermal range, we call it hot. When it's in the food range, we call it acidic. When it's in the electromagnetic range, we call it magnetic. It's the same expansive field, though. And likewise, when we're in the electromagnetic, we call the compressive, expansion, compression. We call the compression field electrostatic. When it's in the food range, we call it alkaline. When it's in the temperature range, we call it cold. All right, so it's all about oscillations of, this is way too much information, but expansive and compressive fields. When those expansive and compressive fields work together in syncopation, it's called electricity. That's literally what electricity is. It's such a big joke right now. They look up, all this conversation about free energy in the world we could be living in. Free energy is literally everywhere. It's everywhere all the time. That's why we're here. But either way, I'm getting too far off on that. Yeah, it'll blow your mind. Robert Young, Harvard lecture. That goes for anybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hey, Andrew, quickly.
Yep.
About garlic. Every day I eat, pretty much every day I eat one avocado.
Uh-huh.
I put a lot of raw ginger and garlic, cut it up, small pieces, and also turmeric and olive oil. And I mix it up, and that tastes amazing with the avocado. You know. Well,
Yeah.
on the other thing I was going to mention was I'm going to put this link on your chat. Ruth, she's bought this one. I'm going to put in the chat from Amazon. The stun gun for $10. It has the same, but she bought this one before. It only lasted her 3 months. So I don't think this is the right one, right? She just bought it again because it should last longer than 3 months, should it? A stun gun?
Yeah, it definitely should last longer than 3 months, but that is the right model. That's the right model, and that's the right brand for sure. This is the right one, but
okay,
I don't know why.
Maybe
I don't know
bad
why.
luck with the first one.
Or it got tampered. Her mail got tampered. That's crazy how cheap it is. Normally those ones are like $25.
I'll buy it right now because the shipping is free. So it's stupid to wait on this.
Yeah, normally the one, that one right there is $25. So I don't know why it's so cheap.
I'll buy two in case it breaks. For $10, I might as well buy two.
Well, hey, but that's what I was saying though, Saqib, is that they tamper. But the thing with the Amazon too is that if you do order from Amazon, they've got local return, right? So you can go to, like here, it's Kohl's. So if they do tamper and it fails pretty quick, you can return it and get your money back through that local return. You just got to look at it. But they tamper. Yeah. Amazon is heavily involved in neuroweapons human trafficking. They're one of the big corporations involved in it.
You said the brand that she's bought is the same one that you said to buy, huh?
Yeah, no, that's the right model and brand and everything. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Andrew?
Yes.
I have a few little questions. When you talked about the small implants, since I have semiconductors in my body, what's the difference, like in size, between these small implants that you were talking about and these semiconductors that I could have? That may be hydrogel. I'm not sure.
Okay, so let me before you go on, let me address that directly. A semiconductor is a LC circuit, like I was talking about. It's a capacitance inductance circuit. Okay, so the nanotechnology operates in that fashion, as does these non-organic, non-native circuitries that we were referring to as implants. So that's all the same. That when someone says that you've got semiconductors in you, it could mean nanotechnology, it could mean non-native, non-organic implant. That semiconductor idea doesn't really hold water to the specifics of what we're talking about, because it's all of it. All of it works as a semiconductor, which is again to say transfers that magnetic field into an electrostatic pulse.
But isn't one kind of like hydrogels and the other one have another nature?
It depends who you're talking to and what you're talking about. Yes, it very well could. It very well couldn't. It just depends. The person I think you're talking about who talks about semiconductors has openly said that he's referring mostly to nanotechnology. But I don't want to comment on him directly any more than that.
Yeah, well, it's from Utah, so I don't know if you're talking about that person.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna.
Okay. All right. Then let me see. I have other questions. When you mentioned that the ultraviolet light can let me see what I wrote about that. It can deactivate the walkers.
Potentially. I have not experimented with that. That was what was in there, in the little bit of research we looked at. But go ahead. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah. Can it be like sunlight as ultraviolet light, being out in the sun? Or do we need an artificial ultraviolet producing device?
Well, I can't recommend. It wouldn't. I will answer your question though. It wouldn't be, the light from the sun wouldn't be concentrated enough just because of the nature of inventing something and having it work, right? If it was, then they wouldn't get it to work and we wouldn't know anything about it. But to deactivate the nanowalkers using ultraviolet is purely hypothetical. I do not know anything and I will not advise anything about that. It needs to be further worked on, is what I was saying, that idea.
Yeah.
So
for instance, I have an ultraviolet device, but they tell you cannot be in the same room. You know, you have to close the door, whatever, and let it work to purify your room with ultraviolet light. You know.
Yeah, it's not safe for your eyes. It's not safe for your skin a lot of times. So I can't recommend to do anything with it. What I was saying is that it's a possible avenue of research. But there is other ultraviolet, like black lights. That's an ultraviolet that is not only safe, but people use it for parties. They use it for all sorts of different things. You know, you go into a black light room. They use it for flashlights to detect animal stains, bodily fluids, that type of thing. They use it for lots of things, but I do not know what will or will not interact with the nanowalkers.
Okay, so we shouldn't try the black lights then? For that?
I cannot, Liliana,
Yeah.
I cannot advise it because I have not figured out anything about it. I just found it in that research. See, I should have been more careful, I guess, presenting this. But I thought that was interesting as of note to you all. But it's not, you know, like I said, I don't know anything more about it. I got to figure it out.
Okay. Let me see what else I have marked.
And then you can always, I'll be here for another hour and a half or so you can always ask another one later.
So what would be the difference?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, there's one more question, Andrew.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Stuart and then Jackie. Okay, go ahead. I'm Blake. Go ahead.
When you talk about the alternating layers of aluminum and plastic wrap, are those what you call the capacitors? Or not?
That creates a capacitor like you'll find in electronics. But for this capacitor, you end up wearing it. There's a video on, where did I have that? I think it was on Rumble. I haven't posted that in a long time because we're so far past that with the wearables. But it does help to make one if you want. It's plastic wrap, aluminum foil, plastic wrap, aluminum foil, plastic wrap, aluminum foil. Make sure the aluminum foils don't touch each other, the layers. They're insulated from each other. Then you wrap all of that with duct tape so that it stays together. And that makes an electrostatic field.
Okay, I have to put that in. And is there anything for the hydrogels if we have them inside of it?
Well, that's the stun gun EMP or the car ignition coil EMP. That's the only thing I've seen that works with it. But I don't have a lab, so I can't really. I don't know how much, or I just know it's interacting with it favorably. I don't know how much.
Okay, I think that was my last question. So thanks, Andrew.
You're welcome. It's good hearing from you. Okay, and then Blake had a quick one.
Yeah, what would be the difference in a TENS unit and an EMP gun? They're both sending an electrical charge to the nanobot to deactivate it. Really, technically, I mean, you're sending a charge to it. An electromagnetic pulse I would think would do the same thing.
No, it's the nature of the pulse. Imagine it creates like a ripple in the ether. I know that's confusing, the physics, but it creates a ripple. That ripple creates a counter reaction. That's why pulses are always more powerful. That's why you get pulsed with these magnetic weapons. Back in the 70s and the 60s or 50s, when they were doing 40s, 30s, 20s, when they were doing these directed energy tests on people, even back then, The big difference between then and now is the pulse technology part of it. When you pulse something, it significantly strengthens the interaction of it because of the nature of the substrate that the pulse is moving through. The substrate it's basically like it's an unsqueezable fluid, kind of like an oil. That's what the ether is like, but it's beneath the air. It's not oil. It's like just acts like oil. And when someone pulses an expansive field at you, there's a counter reaction in the near space that makes it more powerful. That's why the EMP works and the TENS unit doesn't. You could modify the TENS unit and turn it into a pulse device by wiring it into a bottle. That would create a pulse device that would deactivate that would interact with the nanomachinery, but wouldn't be strong enough to interact with the implants. It's all about the pulse. If it wasn't for the pulse, you basically wouldn't be targeted. So it goes both ways, right? You can use the pulse for your favor. The pulse is being used against you right now.
Well, I researched the EMP, and it basically said that it wouldn't emit a high enough electromagnetic pulse to do anything to a carbon-based nanotechnology.
Well, who said that nanotechnology is carbon-based? And who said it's, what we're talking about is nanotechnology? And who says that was it AI that you were using?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't trust that stuff. The technologies that we're talking about are on the edge of public perception. If you want to look at them better, like the nanotechnologies present, look up Mesh Network Nanotechnologies, Charles Lieber, okay? And the papers that Charles Lieber wrote is the nanotechnology in play. But we're not after that so much with the EMPs as we are those other implant technologies that I can't find the papers on those. When I find them, I'll present it, but I can't find it. It's very, very, very small implants. I believe it's like hardened hydrogel, to be honest, but I can't prove it. So I just don't know right now. I think that's what they're shooting into people is the hardened hydrogel. Anyways, don't trust AI. You got to get a little bit deeper than that. Start with the Charles Lieber. That's CHARLES Lieber, LIEBER, Mesh Network Nanotechnologies. He was the guy that got caught in 2020, a week after COVID started, making flights into Wuhan. He's a MIT Harvard scientist that probably the most public chemist in the world developing those nanotechnologies in the chemtrails. That would just kind of give you more of an idea. But
he wrote how to break them down?
No, he wrote about making them. If you want to understand more about the nanotechnology aspect of this, if you want to understand more about the implant, I'm sorry, I wish I had more references for you, but it's still yet to be discovered. Either way, the EMP stun gun works. I wasn't the guy that figured that out either. It was a guy named James Shin. James Shin figured this out by accident. He had literally held a stun gun to his neck where he was feeling pain, and right afterwards he noticed a complete relief. He knew he had been implanted in that area because of, I can't remember, it's in the video of his though. Afterwards he attached the coil to the stun gun to reproduce the effects. I found his work years after. I found that video years after, and it combined with everything I already knew, and it just was off to the races. But it was James Shin that figured that out back in 2020. Don't believe me? Doesn't matter. You try it for yourself. Yeah. Try it for yourself.
I'm just trying to figure this stuff out.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot to deal with, really. Especially when you got half your brain working, really,
Yeah, I do know. Go on those, go look at the old classes. But to make it simple, 3 legs hold this weapons platform up. There's 3 legs to it. Implants, like what you got injected with, or what we get shot into us. That's what I mean by implants. Nanotechnologies, like what's in the chemtrails, and directed energy weapons. And it's those three things working together that cause this. Okay,
Well,
and then was there anything else?
I'm dealing with the injectable, so I can you actually see the things crawling in your eyes? Because I can look in the sunlight and see like real bright little tiny specks just moving everywhere.
Yeah,
in my eyes.
That's the bio. Yeah, I've been there. Definitely been there before. That's the bio plaque over your eyes. Okay, which most people are experiencing, but you're getting really, really bad right now. It sounds like. But it's not going to be one thing, Blake. It's going to be all three of those things. It's just you're dealing with one the worst right now. But those other two are going to be in play too. The nanotechnology and the smart particles and all that, and the nanowalkers, the implants like what you got injected with, and the directed energy weapons. It's always all three together. How they mix that up is dependent on the person and what access. If they have access to your body, they're going to inject you. That's true of anyone here. That's their preferred way, so that they can get more of that mRNA crap, whatever tech they're using into the cells.
Andrew, is there any kind of spray like for the air, like Lysol or something to get rid of the stuff that is flying around? You know.
The best method as of now for the aerosols that we just came across this last few weeks, say we mean a few other people who experimented with it, recreated it a few other places. You take a fan, a regular box fan. You put a wet towel in front of the box fan. The aerosols move through the fan. They hit that wet towel. When it hits that wet towel, it sticks to it and stops circulating in the air. The towel has to be wet though, and the fan's got to be blowing directly on it. Okay. It helps. It really helps.
Would an MRI, going to an MRI, be the same thing as a electromagnetic pulse?
No, but there's more to that conversation. A lot of it involves my speculation, because I've gotten MRIs and had reactions too. But I don't really. That's kind of out of the. It's not going to work for what you want.
Hey, quickly, Andrew, you mentioned the gentleman you're talking about who came up with the idea stun gun thing.
James
Shin. I'm sorry, what's his name again?
James Shin. He did a lot of really good for targeted people. No one knows where he went. It's awful.
Is anything available on YouTube or Rumble?
No, his channel got pulled down. I found his video on another survivor's channel.
Okay, my question was, you said he accidentally tried stun gun by his neck or something. So
no, he did it on purpose.
But what you're saying is, even he didn't have the wire or the EMP device made out of it, just the stun gun alone can also help, you're saying?
Oh yeah, definitely. But what happens is, when the implants aren't there, they do with directed energy weapons what the implants used to do. So you need to do all the steps if you're going to start this process and you want relief, right? If you want, because they'll adjust.
Once you use the speaker wire, wrap around, do that with one side connected to one terminal, the other side a little bit gap.
Yeah.
That works way better than just using stun gun by itself.
Oh yeah, 100%. You don't have to shock yourself.
Okay.
To get it to work.
No. Either way, if you're just using stun gun, you don't have to touch yourself. You can just stun gun without anything made out of it. If you have just 2 inches above your head, it won't work.
No, because the field needs to be directed. That's what the coil does. It creates a directed field. It creates a donut shape that you can aim at the that part of your body. So the coil is pretty important.
Well, which one? I wonder which one emits more EMP, the stun gun or a car ignition coil?
Oh, the car ignition coil by far. It's not even close. The car ignition coil is like maybe 20 times more powerful than the stun gun, something like that. By the time you use it, it's an incredible machine device.
What do you use for a power source?
The mains.
Are you using a 12-volt battery or what?
No, your housing, your wiring, your mains, your electrical mains.
You mean you're sending 100? You're sending 120 volts to a car ignition coil? Yes.
Through the dimmers, through a triac circuit. And why don't you do whatever you want to do, Blake? But the videos are up. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But you do whatever you want to do. Right? I don't trust me. Do whatever you want to do.
I'm trying to figure out which. Trying to figure out which one would be better to build anyway. You know what I mean?
I would say start with the stun gun EMP, and then go to the car ignition coil, because you can have that stun gun EMP going by tomorrow if you live near. Do you live near a city?
No.
Okay, well you're gonna have to go into town to get the stuff, but if you can get into a town with more than 200,000 people, you'll be able to buy a stun gun, and well, maybe even just a sporting goods store really is all you need, and then you just need some wire. But there's a video. Go watch the video, okay? It's like a 20-minute video. I show exactly how to build it.
Hey, by the way, Andrew, you all just mentioned to him about the ignition coil. You have no videos on that. How to do that, right?
No, I do. It's called High Voltage EMP Device. It's on YouTube, Rumble, and Substack.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. Okay, and then Jackie. Sorry, Jackie. I know you're driving right now. Just say. Okay, go ahead.
I came on the call late. I was hearing you speak with somebody else who asked the question that they feel a lot of like these nanobots crawling all over their nose, and I have that. They do that. I feel that all the time. I use a stun gun from head to toe. I'm building the wearables. And what could I do to stop the nanobots from crawling all over my nose?
Okay, so that's not actually that's not what you're actually feeling. Okay, it's kind of crazy. So it's going to take me a second to explain this. The nanomachinery, it literally is in aerosols, right? Like in your car, you're driving right now. When you park on the street and you go into like a box store.
A store.
What do? They come in, they open the doors, they spray crap inside there, right?
Yes.
The crap that's in that spray is smart particles and smart filaments. To get you to breathe those smart particles and smart filaments, they create a electrostatic predominance, which is what you're feeling on the nanomachinery on your nose. So it will feel like spider webs. It'll feel like air. But what it really is an electrostatic weapon that's interacting with bioplaques on your nose to get you to get more of that crap in your nose that you're in the aerosol. Does that make sense?
Yes. Also, at the same time, they were making. I had a very good day with a friend that I haven't seen in 10 years. She's not involved, and I was with her the whole day. And as soon as I left her house, I went down the block. You know, they were waiting for me, of course. Yeah. And my heart started to beat like so fast, like it wanted to come out of my chest. Like I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. What is that? What are they doing when that happens? When the heart just out of nowhere, you start heating up, your body starts heating up, and then your heart feels like it's just beating 100 beats per minute, like 130. I don't know.
Okay, there's one or two things. I have to ask you more questions. Did that effect continue for a long time? How long did it last?
It lasted about 20-something minutes, 25 minutes.
Okay, then that's okay. I think I know what it was then. When that effect will last for hours, it's usually because you've ate poison food. All right, and that's a whole nother thing. But I don't think that person poisoned you based off what you said. When it's quick and done like that, fairly rapidly. Oh, we're losing Jackie. We're losing her. She's driving through that spot. Turn off your video, Jackie. It'll help the reception. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay, good.
I hear you.
Good. I enjoyed watching you drive, though, to be honest.
No, it's just that I wanted you to see what they do. It's like I want everybody to see what they do to me when I'm driving, especially at night. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, the brighting.
Anyway,
I know it's so bad.
Oh, and then the tailgating, and then they're trying to make me crash, and they actually literally push deer in front of my car. They made me crash twice in front on a deer. They did it a few more times.
Oh, you're cutting out, Jackie. You're cutting out. You're cutting out. Okay, so the heart, just to get to the heart thing real quick. It's either in your blood from food you've eaten being digested, the particles interacting with your heart, or they plaqued that part of your heart, the cavity right there, your chest cavity where your heart is, and they're basically irradiating it with magnetic energy. Next time that happens, this goes for anybody. Keep a magnet ring on you. Everyone should have a magnet ring as one of their wearables. You should always have it near you or on you. And what this one is it's two magnets in polarity, meaning attracted to each other, and the PVC is forming a ring that's holding them apart. You don't need the PVC, you just need a ring material and then two magnets to hold on either side. What you do is you put your finger in the polarized field, polarity field, which is electrostatic. That will help significantly with either form. Either you get poisoned or they've plaqued it on that part of your cavity, your heart there, and they're heating it up very, over a period of time, like 20 minutes. That's what they did, though. They got a bunch of nanomachinery plaque, and they basically caused it to explode in your heart chest cavity area. It's very common.
I'm wearing the ring right now with the two magnets in polarity. I'm wearing a ring right now, but I'm wearing the one where you said to put a saran wrap and then put the saran wrap with they're messing with my memory too. I can't find my words. So why do you know? Is there something I could do to fix my memory that they're messing with, or is that out of my control?
Roll down the window.
Okay.
Roll down the window and breathe fresh air. I know that they're releasing aerosols from the cars around you, but all those chemicals they spray in your car is just so toxic. It messes with your short-term memory. It messes with everybody's.
Okay.
It's those aerosols, though, Jackie, with your memory like that. But also get on top of the other wearables, too. That'll help a lot.
I will. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Did you notice, hey, Jackie, just rolling down the window like that, do you notice an improvement?
Yes, I always notice an improvement when I go hiking and I'm sweating and I'm drenched and I'm breathing fresh air. I always notice a big improvement. Oh, my goodness, it's huge.
Yeah, you sound pretty good. Compared to where you were like 6 months ago. The short, hey, don't worry about the short-term memory. It comes back extremely rapidly. It really does. It's not permanent damage.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to turn off I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to just turn on the camera just so that you can see what they do to me. That's
okay,
all.
Sounds good.
Okay, bye. Thank you.
You're welcome. The way you can think of that short-term memory issues is basically like lack of oxygen in your blood. Because when you're breathing all those aerosols, that's more or less what's happening. Okay, now, who else was there? There's somebody else that wanted to... Somebody else had something primed. I can't remember who it was.
How long do you do the EMP gun before you notice a difference?
You should notice it pretty quickly. You put it over every part of your body. You'll like hold it to one part of your body for a second or two, the coil touching your skin. You just got to keep the spark gap away. But the coil can touch your skin. You hold it on your body for like wherever you're aiming it for a second or two, and then like 1, 2, or like 1, like that much time. and then you move it over 2-3 inches, do it again, 2-3 inches, do it again until your whole surface of your whole body is covered. So it takes like a day or two to cover everything, but you'll notice pretty rapidly a change.
Hey, sorry, I thought, Andrew, when you said, I thought you didn't have to touch the coil to your body.
No, touch the coil to your body. It works better, but keep the spark gap away. When you're using the car ignition coil, you don't need to have the coil touching your body because you're talking about a lot more energy. You can keep it an inch or two off your body.
Okay,
but you can also
let it touch. 1 second. You let it touch your body, but it has to be insulated. Otherwise, you'll get shocked.
With the car ignition coil, not even if it touches your body, once you hold those paddles, you're polarized. And if you become grounded at that point, you will get a shock. And it will hurt. And it won't kill you, but it will hurt.
But this is what I'm saying. I have a stun gun. I have ignition. I have the speaker wire wrapped around one end of that speaker wire is touching the one end of the one terminal of the stun gun. The other terminal is not touching the other end. It's just there's a little gap, right?
Yep.
Now, but the wire that's wrapped around, that has to be insulated, right? You cannot use uninsulated. And if you touch yourself with uninsulated, you will get electric shock.
Yep, it's insulated wire that you've used for the coil.
Oh,
and
that's what
yeah, it has to be insulated wire or it will short out.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. Good question. And then somebody asked, while we're on it, somebody asked in the questions, Andrew, can you aim the stun gun from the backside, or does the coil have to touch your skin? It's much, much more effective the closer the coil is to your skin. You shouldn't be afraid of the stun gun coil. You should be wary of the spark gap. The spark gap, when you're firing the stun gun off, the spark gap is what shocks you. And it will not kill you. It will hurt. It's not the end of the world if it happens. You'll be fine. That being said, always, of course, be careful and make sure it doesn't happen. Is anybody else?
Andrew, did you already talk about the sleep? We were talking about sleep before we started recording.
Yeah, how to protect yourself while you're sleeping. Yeah, that's where I was telling him go over the processes, go over all the steps.
I'll just listen to the recording.
No, it's fine, Lisa. What are you doing? Let's go over what you're doing while you sleep, because I already know you've used the stun gun, right?
No, not yet. I
okay.
got it ordered. I just used it. The stun gun is definitely necessary.
Yeah.
But they keep a frequency on me all night long.
Yeah. They'll do that.
And then they wake me up at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, so the other thing I said to the other thing I was saying to sorry, I forgot your name, Blake, is building a capacitor mat for tonight will help you. Do you have saran wrap and tinfoil in your house right now?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and build one. Do you have duct tape?
Yes.
Do you have masking tape?
Masking tape. Is that I've got painter's tape. Is that good enough?
Yeah, painter's tape will work too. So either painter's tape works, duct tape works for the final covering. You want to cover everything once you put the layers. You can literally do that on the call right now if you want something you can just make right this second. It's aluminum foil. It's not perfect though, but it will help. It's not perfect. Aluminum foil is like your first layer. Cut out a sheet of it that's like 12 by 18, however big you want to make this.
Okay.
And then the next layer, you take the saran wrap and you put it directly over the tinfoil. And then you cut it very carefully because you want it to keep it directly over the tinfoil. And then you flip both the tinfoil and the saran wrap. And then you would layer another saran wrap on the other side of the tinfoil, because you want every layer of, aluminum foil to be separated from the other layers of aluminum foil.
Oh, okay.
Once you have 3 layers of plastic wrap, aluminum foil, plastic wrap, aluminum foil, plastic wrap, aluminum foil, then you cover the whole thing in duct tape to keep it together. or painter's tape, but duct tape's better. Once you've done that, you have yourself a capacitor mat. It's incredibly easy to do. It might sound a little complicated because I'm explaining it, but the video is on Rumble for sure. It was like a year ago I posted that. You're just going to have to go through. Yeah, to Ruth just said in the comments, the aluminum HVAC tape is easier. I totally agree. I use the HVAC tape, the metal tape, for almost everything I would need aluminum for or metal for. Aluminum is
I thought you had to do one more step. The last time I thought you said then you take another wire and you attach it on one end or something. You didn't say
no,
what you make.
No, this happens. This happens often with these. This is that I'll tell people things they can do, right? Like they can make it more powerful, and people will think that that's necessary. What I was saying is that you can add magnets in polarity. I'm sorry, that's my dog. Hold on, give me a second. You can add magnets in polarity to either side of the capacitor mat when it's done, and it will make the capacitor mat even more electrostatic.
Okay,
you don't need to
the wire thing. If you want to make it even stronger, you said take a speaker wire, attach one side to the aluminum foil or something. On one.
No, I think that got mixed up in something else.
Okay, no worries. One last question I have is stun gun. When you touch your skin, does it have to touch your bare skin, or if you're wearing a undershirt shirt, it's okay to touch the shirt, or you have to be bare skin?
It doesn't have to do anything, but it's most effective when it's touching your skin because of the proximity. It's just proximity. You're welcome.
Okay, so then you're better off not wearing a shirt if you're doing your chest or something. Take your shirt off and then do it. That's better.
Yeah, that would be most effective, but if you had a thin shirt on, that would be fine too. But if you got like a big hoodie on, it's not going to be the most effective.
Okay.
Like I've got a thick hoodie on right now. I wouldn't, if I was trying to do the stun gun for the first time, I would definitely take this off.
Okay.
And
of all the years you have used stun gun over doing this, how many times accidentally have you gotten shocked with the stun gun?
Probably 3 times, give or take, like 3 or 4 times, something like that.
By mistake, maybe you touch yourself accidentally. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, when I was first figuring things out, I used the stun gun a lot more than I probably should have, like many of you here are, because it does help with the nanotech, but it's just not the intended use for it. It's for the stun gun, one more time, is for the implants.
Right.
For the non-native, non-organic circuitry.
Yeah, and the other thing you were just telling her about the lady to make the aluminum foil, saran wrap. Once you make them, and you did that 3 layers, but the 6 layers will work better than 6 layers or 3 layers. The more layers, the better, right?
Yeah. The more capacitance, the more electrostatic field it would hold. But
once you go ahead.
But the thing is, and this is very important to recognize, is that it would be better to make 2 stacks of 3 than 1 stack of 6, because they're separate from each other. Because when any device you build, eventually they're going to get the backscatter data from and use it to counteract the resonance of whatever you've produced. So that's where adding the magnets comes into the capacitor mat, or layering 2 capacitor mats or whatever. But you remember, the other thing is that the capacitor mat isn't necessarily really destroying the nanomachinery. It can, and oftentimes it does, but more so than not, it's mating the magnetic charges that the directed energy weapons are sending your way. So it can be easily overcome if they know that you're using it and how you're using it.
Okay, and when you make that aluminum foil saran wrap, then I think if I recall correctly, once you mentioned the best idea is to wrap it on your torso, right? Torso.
Yeah, to have the maximum effect throughout the day is wearing it around your midsection. I would say make the belly button kind of the target, because it's right around the belly button that the majority of, a little bit lower, the majority of your blood of your body rests in, just because of the intestines and stuff. You would think it would be
covered,
but it's not.
It doesn't have to go all around your body, just like maybe one end. It doesn't have to go all around your waist and your stomach. It just has to be from one end to the other, covering your midsection.
Well, no, see, it doesn't have to be anything. It could be whatever you want it. It's just a tool. And it's not the best tool by any means. It creates an electrostatic field that deals with magnetic energy. The better thing to do is always attack the nanomachinery itself with the electrical reactions, right? So like putting the electric wire into those bottles and doing various things with those is going to offer you far more once you've deactivated the implants, that is, than the capacitor mat. But it's all tools, and it's like you don't have to do any one thing particularly. Like, for example, wrapping a copper wire around you, just like regular old copper wire around your midsection, is going to create an inductive field, which is to say a magnetic field, okay? So it's just recognizing what's a magnetic field, what's an electrostatic field, and what's an electric field. And then what's a neutral field too, or what's a grounding field, right? And what that is when electrostatic and magnetic charges balance each other. So if you can understand those four energies, you'll be doing very good, okay? And what are those four energies? Electrostatic and magnetic, and then electrostatic and magnetic together, which is electricity, and electrostatic and magnetic opposed, which is neutral or ground. When you understand, that's really what we're after, because you're in a dynamic situation. The dynamic situation is you have these people, these human traffickers breaking into your house, breaking into your car, poisoning your food, trying to literally inject you with technologies, creeping around your place with invisibility cloaks. You know, Saqib, all the crazy stuff they get into. So you're in a dynamic situation. You don't need any one particular device. You need a bunch of devices and the knowledge to build them on the fly when you need them, and the knowledge to know when to use them.
One last question. So once you make that, the capacitor, and even that will use better. It will work better if it touches your skin, or it could go over your shirt.
Proximity is everything.
Okay, very good. That's what I want to get.
You're welcome. Proximity is always everything, because think about your body, right? Your body is all these complex. What is an organ? An organ is a concentrated section of cells that are producing a unique electrical signature. That unique electrical signature is what causes the organ to function like it is, whether it's your liver, your spleen, your kidney, your gallbladder, whatever. That's all contained within the center part of your body where the majority of your blood is, right? That's why the majority of your blood is there, to deal with the digestion of food, for energy, for all these different processes, and to nourish these organs in their quest to keep you alive. The more corrective fields you put, so electrostatic when you're being attacked with magnetic, or magnetic when you're being attacked with electrostatic, whatever, however that works out, or electrical in general, which is those working in tandem. When you put them close to that process where the blood plasma is mostly located, what is blood plasma? It's right there in the name, plasma. What is plasma? Plasma is an electrical, something that holds an electrical charge, right? So it's right there. Your blood can hold this and store this and move this around and appropriate this electrical charge where it needs to go. You produce that electrostatic field, and your body's in need of an electrostatic field, and you put it nearest that organ sac where all that blood is. If you've ever gone hunting, you know what I'm talking about. There's an organ sac, right? Same thing with your body. You're not different. You're not different than a deer in that sense, right? If you put this electrostatic field, if you're in need of it, near that organ sac, it's going to produce more of an effect because of the blood plasma. But say it's the middle of the night and you wake up and you're rapidly vibrating. That's an electrostatic field predominance that you're being attacked with. If you were to put the capacitor mat near your body, the organ sac at that point, you would make your situation worse, because now you've taken the electrostatic energy that they're shooting at you and you've amplified it. Okay? At that point, if you woke up vibrating in the middle of the night, it wouldn't be an electrostatic field you needed, right? Because that's a different reaction. That's a different directed energy weapon. It would be a magnetic field you would need. How do you make a magnetic field? You literally wrap wire around you in a ring. When you wrap wire around you in a coil or a ring, it produces an inductive field. That inductive field is inherently magnetic. Okay, so this all goes back to that physics. That's why I keep mentioning that Ken Wheeler book. Don't believe me. Do the research, read the book, Uncovering the Missing Secrets of Magnetism, or even just start watching his YouTube channel, Theoria Aposphia, until you get the nerve up to read the book. A nerve up, that wasn't the right way to say it, until you want to read the book. Excuse me for the way I talk. Yeah, and then that's all just to say that's attenuating the directed energy weapons, all right? You really haven't done the bigger thing, which is to destroy the nano. To destroy the nano, you want to create that electrical charge. Creating that electrical charge is much, much more potent than mating the directed energy weapons. But that's not to say that I won't change my opinion in the near future when I figure out more things, because I'm always figuring out more things. So praise be to God. God's giving me the things to figure out is the way I should say that. It's not me.
Praise be to God.
Yep. It's all of this has come through prayer first.
Where did you say that? Where did you say to put the where the blood flows the most in your body?
Above your groin, around your belly button. That's the primary, the intestines, upper, lower intestines, and your kidneys, that whole tract right there in the midsection of your body.
So you like hit that the most with the EMP?
No, I don't use I only use the stun gun EMP when I feel that I've been shot with something, right? So again, the electromagnetic pulse device, whether it's cognition or stun gun, and I know this is your first time here, so I don't, don't take this like I'm sorry if it sounds condescending is what I'm trying to say. The stun gun EMP and cognition coil is for the non-native, non-organic circuitry that most people call implants. The wearables, the electric wire or the different electric wire applications are the most effective on your midsection and your fingers. Fingers because it's a good place to rapidly treat blood, and the midsection because that's where most of your blood pools. Does that make sense?
Just like below your navel?
Yeah, below your navel for the wearables. The EMP stun gun and cognition coil, you're going to want to go over your whole body with. At least one time. And probably at least, I try to do it like once a week after you cover all parts of your body. Maybe more, depending. You guys, you'll overdo it at the beginning until you realize the limitations of it, because it's like, oh, this is a great tool. And then you realize, okay, I need to do other things too. That's what happened with me. That's what happens with most people. We're making a tool bag, and we're building the knowledge base to utilize that tool bag. You're learning to trade, right? You're learning how to do something you've never done before, and how to navigate waters that are literally trying to drown you. Well, metaphorically, excuse me. But they're trying to kill all of us. It's just at what speed are they trying to accomplish that? This is human trafficking. It's really organ trafficking with a bunch of caveats. With a bunch of... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, Andrew, thank you so much. I'm glad to even catch a few minutes today. And hi, everyone. I wanted to ask you, as far as magnets go, would you just say they amplify, because I need to brush up on the magnets. Do they amplify whatever you're doing? Is that just the way to think about them? They're like when you use the wires and you use magnets, it amplifies the effect? Is that a simple way to explain it?
Kind of. Magnets in polarity, when they're attracted to each other, that's what polarity means, they create an electrostatic field. magnets that are in reverse polarity, when they're pushing away from each other, they create a magnetic field. So if you're after a magnetic effect, reverse polarity is the way to go. If you're after an electrostatic effect, polarity is the way to go. If you've built a capacitor mat, which creates an electrostatic field, and you wish that capacitor mat to be stronger, put the magnets in polarity on either side. If you wish it to pulse differently, to have a different pulse, like a different, basically to have a higher amperage, I know I'm getting off here, but this is literally what it is, then you would put it in reverse polarity on either side. I mean, it would create a, you know, like in your house, you've got, this is another way to think about it. You've got voltage and amperage, right? That's what your house, that's how the power works. That's generally understood conventional electric engineering philosophy is voltage and amperage. Voltage is basically a measure of electrostatic field. Amperage is a measure of the magnetic field. It's not basically, that's exactly what it is. So when you're talking about using the magnets, you got to think about the array of the magnets and then what materials are they accessing and for what function. But yes, they can magnify whatever effect you're after, as long as you're consciously understanding the effect that you're after.
Thank you very much, Andrea. You know, you're an example in so many ways. And yes, I just want to keep on encouraging anyone, if they feel the same way, to contribute and, you know, just donations. But thank you for the positive support that you give the community.
You're welcome. I appreciate your continued presence here, Meg. You know what? I just figured out why I was confusing you forever. Because Gwen, you and Meg sound almost exactly alike. So I keep hearing you guys in different patterns and couldn't remember who was who. But you two sound exactly alike on this conference call. The way you talk. Yeah,
you better get our frequency right. We have unique frequencies.
I know, but you guys have the same intonation, like the way you speak is the same, and you sound the same. It's crazy.
That was a joke. It was a joke. Thanks.
I know. You're welcome. You guys are probably from the same area.
Yeah, could be.
Is there anybody else?
You said just now that magnets that are reverse polarity cause a magnetic field, and magnets that attract each other cause an electrostatic field?
Yes. Yep. And what we think of as like north and south pole, that's really clockwise spin and counterclockwise spin. That's not like the magnet itself by itself is both an electrostatic and magnetic reaction in somewhat of a balance. And the red side is a clockwise spin or counterclockwise spin, and the blue side's the opposite.
Okay. And what kind of small magnets can we work with to use them in this way? You know, what type of magnet should we trying to get?
Get whichever you can locally, just so you can start fiddle-faddling with this stuff. The ceramic magnets aren't very powerful for penetrating the body, but they're fine for magnet rings. The neodymium magnets are better for constructing devices, but they're expensive, and usually you have to get them in the mail. And you know how it goes. If you're getting anything in the mail, they're going to try to tamper with it, especially if it's something like magnets. There's a way to demagnetize magnets. So be very careful when you order anything like that, whether it's the stun gun or the magnets or anything in between. Anything that's going to physically impact the way they do their jobs, the way they collect money off human trafficking you, they're going to try to intercept and tamper with.
Yes.
So ceramic magnets are a fine thing to use at first.
Okay.
You can buy those at a hardware store.
Yeah.
Andrew, I just want to say thank you for everything, like what Meg said. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate. I look forward to these calls, and although it takes me a long time to learn things, I am learning things, and I'm going to rewatch this whole episode and your videos. It's just that my attention span is very short. But thank you, and have a good night. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, and I'll give a donation next week. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
You too. Whenever you can, Jackie. No rush. I don't.
I know.
Okay, good.
But everybody should contribute, because I think what you're doing for us is incredible. It's invaluable. I can't explain it. I can't say that enough. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jackie.
Yeah.
Hey, Jackie, real quick.
Yes.
Those aerosols are playing a huge part in your moment to moment right now. Try that fan. Try the fan technique when you get opportunity. Okay.
I did try the fan and it fell apart. So, and I heard you guys speaking about where the blood pools above your belly or around your belly button, and they're attacking me there so badly. They are like, it feels like they're cutting my stomach so that my intestines come out. So I'm feeling a lot of pain there. So as soon as I get back, I'm going to try the EMP. And the reason why I wasn't getting attacked while I was driving is because they know that I'm videotaping live. So they...
Okay, hey, let's go over that. Let's go over that real quick, Jackie. You can sign off if you want, but I do want to explain this to people because this is huge. The it's a magnetic predominant attack happening to your midsection right now. The reason for that is they get all that nanomachinery plaqued in there. It literally forms like plaque, like on your teeth, or like the plaque on your skin. It's the same sort of thing, right? And it becomes like 1/8 of an inch thick or thicker. It's like literally very thick. And what they'll do is they'll heat it up to a point where it basically ruptures. And because it's already penetrated through various parts of your intestines, it literally is rupturing parts of your body right now. Now, that's not as fatal as it sounds. It's not fatal at all, but it hurts a lot. It's like leaky gut syndrome that's like exploding a little bit on the micro scale. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Perfect sense. Actually, they did rupture my skin, and they did give me. I'm so embarrassed to say this, but they made my intestines come out. I don't know if they lasered my right by my belly button, but right above my belly button, the day that my mother died, the very day that my mother died, they ruptured my intestines came out of above my belly button. So, but they hurt it. Yeah.
That sounds sorry for interrupting you. That sounds like poison. Were you and your mom eating the same meal?
No, my mother. No. The day that my mother died, they killed my mother. They implanted my mother to kill her to get to me. And once the day that they died, I guess to hurt me even more, because you know how when you're down and suffering the most is when they attack you the most.
Yeah.
That's the day that they made my intestines come out of my. They ruptured something right around above my belly button, and my intestines came out. So
you could feel the lump underneath your skin.
Yes. My doctor felt it too, and they didn't want to put a mesh or anything. They just said, I just need to lose 10 pounds, and when I lose 10 pounds, it goes down a little bit. But I'm always gonna have it now. I'm always gonna have it now.
You had a hernia, right?
No, I never had a hernia ever. I never ever had a hernia. It doesn't run in my family.
Yeah, I mean this gave you a hernia, is what.
Yes, it caused a hernia. It caused my intestines to come out. So when I was at my friend's house and I was having such a beautiful day, it was so peaceful. My mind was engaged with my friend the whole day. They attacked me so that I could leave her house, I suppose. Anyway, but thank you very much. And I'm just going to use the EMP there to see if it kind of disables whatever.
And then, Jackie, the last thing is think about what your belly button is. It's a little access point for those nanowalkers to crawl in. So that's like that's okay.
Yes.
Okay. You got it. I'll leave you alone.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Well, no, thank you for being here, Jackie. We appreciate it. Have a good night.
Did you make the car ignition coil without the dimmer switch?
No, you need the dimmer switch for the triac circuit. The dimmer switch has got a triac circuit, so you need the exact one I listed in the show notes, on the video notes. It's a special circuit. It clips the wave so that the electricity can be used in the card ignition coil. You need the exact stuff I listed. You need to follow directions if you want it to work.
So you crank the dimmer switch up all the way after you get it wired in?
No, it just needs to be on and open somewhat. But the triac circuit in the dimmer switch clips the wave form, and that's really what you're after. So it doesn't need to be up all the way. It'll just say up half the way. They'll be fine. Yep, you just do it exactly like I got in the video, and it will work. I got lucky on that. Well, not lucky, actually. That took me all last summer to figure out. I spent like $900, blew up a whole bunch of stuff, shocked the living crap out of me a few times before I got all that figured out, is ironed out. It's just follow the instructions so you don't save yourself the money and the time.
So what are you looking at? If I already got a car ignition coil, well, what am I looking at spinning?
Have you watched the video, Blake?
No.
Okay, why don't you watch the video? It's about $100 altogether, or 50. I don't know, something like that. You're gonna see what you need. Less than $100 though, if you already got the coil. Watch the video though. Okay, was there anybody else?
Just to remind you, if you can give me somehow after this call.
All right, hey guys, was there anybody else before we close up? We've been here for 3 hours and some change.
Just a reminder for Roger's contact info when afterwards.
Yep. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for being here, and I really do appreciate all of you, being here and trying to work through this information with me and us, together, because not one of us is going to break free until all of us break free. That's how this is going to go, and I need all of you as much as all the nice things that were said about what we're doing here today. I really appreciate it, but I need all of you here. I really do. So ultimately, thank you so much for being here again. I can't express it enough. Without you all being here, it wouldn't be happening. I don't know how else to say it. It's like, okay, I know all this stuff, thank you, God, but it would mean nothing if you guys weren't here to try it and figure these things out for yourself. What I'm saying is true or not, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't present it to you if it wasn't. And if I do, I'll tell you I'm wrong like I did today. That being said, thank you so much for being here. May God bless us and continue to have mercy on us. I really, really appreciate all of you.
Tweet, tweet, tweet. Tweet, 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 tweet. Ooh, 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 ooh.